Hey, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Hey, Chisme.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Did everybody see Santa Claus? That
No.
fat man, he flew right by. I saw him fly by. I was out there waving some sticks. Hey, iconic. Merry Christmas, GB, Dragonette, Jess, Jay. Hello. I'm
Hello.
actually kind of glad that I don't want to sound like the Grinch or anything, but I'm glad it's over. Is that mean? Hey, Malin.
Yeah. No, just kidding. Well, Santa barely drove by here. It flew.
did something did something fall out of the sleigh?
Barely anything. I think he gave me some leftover cookies that he want.
Iconic. Did the babies have a good Christmas? How was the new baby's first Christmas? Hey, hey. Hey, Patty and Pink. Merry Christmas. I think I'm gonna I think I'm just gonna go with the Kwanzaa from now on.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Jesus.
That's right. That's what it's about. I mean, if I had kids that were young, I mean, damn, I could be a grandma, but I'm not. I would have done it up. And not to
Yeah.
say anything mean, but my mom does have dementia, and I don't even think she still realizes it's Christmas today. She didn't say one thing about being Christmas. I'm like, Ma, you know it's Christmas, right? And I gave her little present. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
Hey, Jennifer. Okay, guys. I spent Kazaboo. You got the key, babe.
Hi, Kaz.
I spent all day today. Huh. Hey,
Casey
look at
Anthony.
Casey Anthony's in the house.
It says F, and that's how we feel about Casey Anthony. You're right.
KYOU.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Black Eagle. KYOUY. You.
Fuck.
Dude, I think that Casey Anthony's mad because Santa Claus didn't come.
Probably because we talk about her sometimes, about how she killed her baby.
Hey, Casey Anthony. All right, guys. Since we don't have too much on the update of the Idaho 4, we've got a couple updates, but we're going to get into some info. I have an interview, guys, of, holy shit. The man that rented the Ryder truck in Toronto and drove it through the streets, killing, I think, 10 people and injuring 6. Well, he's going to explain to us about the Incel community and his police interrogation. My God, I was shook.
Ooh, I want to see that.
One sec, guys. Iconic. But it's funny too, his Facebook post, and he talks about Elliot Rodger. Now, about 6 weeks ago, I looked into Elliot Rodgers, maybe 4 weeks ago, when Paladin was talking about the kid that killed the college kids in South California. But I think he's a wimp. He's definitely an incel, but I think he was a wimpy boy. I think the guy that did the Idaho 4 has got serious kahunas,
Yeah, he's got some, all right.
right? And the fact that he hasn't been caught yet, and I found Joe's interviews, and we found the Reddit incel feed to where they all worship Elliot Rodgers because he killed the six college kids with a gun. Hey, Junie. Merry Christmas. But let's start with the updates in Idaho with the private investigator that did the Natalie Holloway case. He's talking about how the investigator will help the case.
Okay.
So, all right, let's see.
We have a lot of resources that we're utilizing, but we still ask for your help. We ask for any tips that you might have.
Can you hear that?
I hear it.
Okay.
Anything that you might be able to give us.
Should one resource police use on the Moscow murder investigation include this? I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. The idea of hiring a private investigator was first floated by Steve Gonsalves, the father of victim Katie Gonsalves. He was very frustrated with what he saw as a lack of progress in the investigation. You will recall that Kaylee and her roommates, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Xana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were all stabbed to death in the early morning hours of November 13th. It's been nearly 6 weeks since the homicides occurred. In that time, families have been pleading for information, but police have been keeping much of that information about the case from the public, which happens in criminal investigations. The family of Xana Kernodle sent out flyers this pleading for anyone with information to come forward. The
Real quick, guys. Um, when we get into the bottom part of these interrogations in this group that we found on Reddit, Chisme's going undercover into the incel group, but we have to
I
stay
am.
incognito. You said you
Okay.
were.
I hadn't clarified it yet,
Well,
but okay.
yeah. Well, we need
We will.
iconic. We need
I know, I'm
iconic
just kidding.
because iconic got the big balls. She goes into that dark web like it's nothing.
Ooh.
Until we were in the dark web one day and some guy popped up asking her questions on this screen, like in this crazy instant message box. I thought she was gonna throw it out her freaking window.
Oh my
She's like,
gosh.
why is this guy? I go, oh God, he hacked your system.
Yeah,
He
but
was
we do. I'm learning how to go into the cyber world.
well, we did it in the
You're teaching me.
We got in there in the Cassidy Rainwater case. It was very disturbing. But when that guy hopped on her screen, like it wasn't even a chat room. The guy just appeared on her screen talking about what are you here looking for?
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I think we're gonna have to go there to find these hidden groups. And I'm almost convinced that Enon is part of this new movement.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, me too.
Police Department has enlisted the help of both the Idaho State Police and the FBI to solve the case. So, should some of that help come from private investigators? Joining me to discuss whether or not hiring a private investigator for these families to investigate the murders themselves is TJ Ward. He is a private investigator. He's been in the business for 40 years. He has a website, tjwardpi.com, and is also the author of the new book, Guilt by Association. TJ, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
TJ, you're a former law enforcement officer. I'm sure as a law enforcement officer, you wouldn't want people digging around in your cases. I don't know that for sure, but what are your thoughts on this discussion, this idea about the family of Kaylee Gonsalves potentially, and I say potentially because we don't know if they've even done that, hiring a private investigator to investigate these murders?
Well, hiring a private investigator is probably
Unfortunately, Kaz, it's going to have to be done. We're going to have to go deep to find out what's going on in the real, what's it called, Chisme? MGTOW?
Yes, men going their own way.
Yeah, we're going to show you guys all about this. And yeah, this is insanity. Like, I never knew this.
Shoot, yeah.
It's insanity.
asset to the case because there's a lot of witnesses that we know that probably wouldn't want to talk to law enforcement. And what they would do is talk to somebody that's not associated with law enforcement. And we can gather information probably law enforcement wouldn't get, and we would build a case for them and turn it over to law enforcement.
When you were in law enforcement, investigator talking to witnesses for you or running a parallel investigation, would you have not liked that, or what would your feelings have been about that?
I don't have a problem with a private investigator working a parallel investigation as long as they don't get into areas that might hurt the case or do something that may not be proper that we couldn't use in a court of law later on. And with my experience as a former law enforcement officer, I know what my boundaries are to be able to utilize information and get information for law enforcement to be able to use.
One thing I said.
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt anymore. Hey, Paula, Karen, Merry Christmas. Chisme, don't worry. I'll send you the links over after the live.
Was very interesting is the fact that there are probably witnesses in this
iconic.
case
Don't worry.
who may not feel comfortable
okay.
talking to law enforcement. However, they may be more comfortable talking to someone who's not a sworn officer. They may feel like they can be more candid. Have you experienced that in your investigations?
Absolutely, that has happened before, and we build our cases. I build cases. I get hired by lawyers and private individuals and companies to build a case, whether it would be theft or whatever, and I turn my investigations over to law enforcement, where they take it and use it in an indictment, where I will testify as a professional to be able to testify in court from what information that I found and utilized in the case. Very important. And there are a lot of people that do not like to talk to the police. I mean, the police are the authority. It scares them when they may be a potential witness where they don't want to be. But talking to a private individual, as myself, as a private investigator, they're a little bit more comfortable talking.
I think one of the reasons for that is because, talking to a law enforcement officer, you could get jammed up. I mean, we've heard stories of this where they have arrest powers. The police have a lot of power. And I'm sure the officers in this case want to get it right. They want to get the right person. So is that one of the reasons why people don't always feel comfortable talking to law enforcement?
That's correct. And it's just the authority that they have and the power that they have, as you mentioned. Law enforcement is a little bit different category, what they're looking for. And people are scared that they're going to get incorporated into a case that they don't want to get incorporated to, but they like to share what they know. It's the same way that they find cameras or find vehicles or identify something that they don't want anybody else to know. Especially in this case.
Speaking of this private investigator, he's the one that's working on the Alania case. The girl in Atlanta, Georgia, who went to the apartment complex with her girlfriend, and she never came out, and the two guys moved out, and all those little posts that we were reading.
Right.
Hey, sweet crazy. Merry Christmas. Yeah, he's working that case.
Okay.
Where's Alania? Her, Heidi Plank, they go into an apartment building, and they just never come out.
I know that they're looking for vehicles right now. Someone may come forth and feel comfortable talking to a private investigator and giving them information that I'm going to share with law enforcement. And anything that we get, we have a protocol to know if there's law enforcement involved. Anything we compile information, we're going to give to them. And we don't take things in their own hands and go above and beyond what law enforcement would do. We turn it over to them, which builds a relationship with us and law enforcement to know that we're credible.
You mentioned the search for the white Hyundai Elantra. We know earlier this week that one of those white Hyundai Elantras, one of the 22,000 that police are combing through, registrations and things like that, was ruled out in Eugene, Oregon. There was one found on a street corner there. It had been involved in a vehicle accident a couple of days before. It was sitting there with front end damage, no license plates. It certainly looked suspicious. They looked into it. They ruled it out, even though that vehicle is in the range of vehicles that they want to look at, 2011 to 2013. How daunting of a task is that to go through now 21,999 vehicles that you have remaining to try to piece together who may have been in that area that night?
Well, what they have to do is going through 21,999 now is one thing they have. They got the Department of Motor Vehicles that can level down. That's how they come up with a number and be able to go through and see who these people might be, or if a name comes up that they find that matches something that they've got from a witness at the crime scene, or somebody that's a witness in this case, and try to match it up with somebody and they have talked to somebody that owns that vehicle. It's unfortunate that they don't have a tag number or a VIN number from what they found. And again, now their problem is, if they're no locate vehicles, the weather is hampering them unbelievably up there with the snow and ice and the bad weather. So it's going to slow this investigative down, and hopefully it doesn't become a cold case.
You've been in this business a long time, a PI for 40 years. Before that, a law enforcement officer, a sworn officer. From the outside looking in, and we don't know everything that they're doing, of course, but we know that they've got Moscow PD working on this with the assistance of the FBI and the Idaho State Police. From what we know about what they're doing, we've been told they're using every available resource to look into this. They're combing through the video. They're combing through tips. They have about 15,000 tips now that they have to wade through, which is unbelievable to me. What is your assessment of what's going on with this investigation?
Do you guys feel like Maddie? No, you're good, Jay. I'm going to touch on that because I actually tried to watch Scream the other night. Yeah, I couldn't do it. But I haven't watched Nightmare on Elm Street in so long, but I do know that that was one that gave me a little bit of a nightmare. That one and My Bloody Valentine. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, do you guys think that Maddie is wearing her clothes, that black jacket is hers? Or do you, I know the kids wear longer sleeves now where the hands are covered. But do you feel like that's her jacket, or do you feel like it's just too big for her?
I think it's just one that everyone wears, like we used to have one at work, and kind of like a lab jacket. If anyone was cold, we just pick it up and then take it home and then bring it back, and someone else would use it. Or maybe someone at the bar, at the club, let her borrow it.
That's what I'm thinking. Because if you look at this jacket right here, it just seems like it's a bigger jacket. And when she's walking on the surveillance where you see her, the three of them right here walking to the food truck together,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's almost like a half a arm too long. It's like a long jacket. Like the sleeves hang almost to her knees. Yeah, I agree, Annie. Exactly what Annie just said, Raybird.
Yeah, and that style's not in, baggy clothes. It's not in right now.
But
not even rolled
like
up.
The cut here looks like a guy's jacket.
Yeah. I think someone let her borrow it because she would have just, she would have done a neater job, Someone probably draped it over her.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the kid, the one they claim that's Josh Showalter, which I'm not even certain that's who it is, but he might have had it on and gave it to her, because this is definitely the shirt that she was wearing in the picture with all 6 roommates. And that's definitely what Kaylee was wearing. Okay.
It's like a trench coat or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Masculine, that's right, Jules.
And it's got that shiny material, maybe like it's a little bit of a windbreaker. I agree, Jay. I agree.
Oh, kind of sports type?
I'm sorry, Jules. Hello, Liz. Yeah, I agree, guys. I always wondered, whose jacket is that? Everyone's looking for the 4 cars that drove by at 3 o'clock in the morning in a college town, but I'm looking like, no. We need to get into the dark web community. And tomorrow, we're going into the dark web. Me, Chisme, and Iconic, and we're dragging Kaz by the hair.
This investigation.
Let's go.
Well, They don't say the problem, but the FBI is well known that they're not going to release any information until they have diehard information they go public with. So we really don't know what they have.
Oh my god, iconic. I'm wearing Chris's hoodie right now that I stole the last time I saw him. Okay, let's go, guys.
In a
I had one,
very
but then I lost
complicated crime scene, and there's things in that crime scene that can lead them to where they go to the outside. And again, they're bringing more FBI agents in. I understand that are an expertise in these type of cases, and to be able to utilize. So again, we don't know what they have or what they don't have, but we have to move forward to keep gathering information. And I think it's real important that this case stays active in the media, because there may be somebody that remembers something or sees what's on TV that might be an asset to them, and they come to us as a private investigator. And if there's one involved in that location up there, or if they end up calling us, because I know they're trying to raise money to hire a private investigator. And again, as I spoke earlier this week, we have 2 former homicide investigators that work with us, and I would be more than happy to send them there to work hands-on with law enforcement and to help gather information. As again, anything that we learn if we were working on the case, we would immediately turn it over to law enforcement to enhance their case.
In your experience, is it
needs to
common
go
to have a
find a
private
Lamia first.
investigator working hand in hand with law enforcement on a murder case that's active, going just 140 days on this case?
Absolutely. Fortunately, I learned that the lead investigator was Vandersloot's godfather, his dad's best friend, and worked in the Administrative Justice with Vandersloot's father from 95 to 98. I went out on the media and put that out there. I mean, that's huge. You got an investigator that's investigating somebody that he's related to is a big problem, a big problem. So, I mean, I had to expose that information publicly, and it was not good for law enforcement. But unbeknown to saying that I would do this in this particular instance, but using a private investigator to gather information from private individuals or witnesses that may be involved is an asset to law enforcement in this case. I think law enforcement there, the 3 different agencies working on this case, is an asset, and I think they're doing a great job, as best as they can right now. But I just think it would be an asset to have another team of investigators there that the private individuals that we talked about may want to talk to us instead of law enforcement.
Between 10 and 15,000 tips, TJ, that's a lot. 10,000 to 15,000 tips that they're wading through. I have to think that there has to be something in some of those tips that is going to be helpful to this investigation. How difficult is it to go through that many tips? Even if you have 60 FBI agents, Idaho State Police, I can't even imagine.
They have professionals that do this for a living, working inside those agencies, to be able to go through and filter in on things that may be important in this case. I still get people calling me about a case in 2005 with the disappearance of Natalie Holloway. My phone still rings, and I still get emails, and we follow up with those leads as I did from the beginning. So you have to look and take everyone serious that somebody may know something that's going to enhance your case to be able to solve it.
Yeah, Natalie Holloway, the disappearance of Natalie Holloway. Sadly, her body has still never been found. Horrible, horrible thing for her family. One last thing. People are fearful of coming forward if they have information because they are afraid that they are going to get in trouble. Let's say somebody does have information about this case and they fear knowing about it is going to get them in a lot of trouble. What's your recommendation to that person listening to this right now?
If they're so worried about getting in trouble and they have information and then solve a case like this, they need to get a lawyer to give them information or protect them from any information they give. This car that they're looking for, this individual, is not a suspect. It's a person of interest they're looking for that may have additional information to lead them to solving this case.
Well, TJ Ward, private investigator. You can find him at TJ Ward.
I mean, it's kind of weird that the person in that car that night did not come forward. Maybe they
Hello,
don't know.
Kaz.
Hello, how are you, darling? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Kind of like a Yellowstone cowboy jacket. My daughter even got her hubby a cowboy hat. Yeah, it's got a look to it. Definitely looks way too big for Maddie. Like she borrowed it from someone.
Does it look like something a sports guy, like a sportscaster or someone would wear?
I don't know, because it's got that little shine to it. which it could be the video. It kind of looks like it's a windbreaker jacket.
Because
Like it's
that
got,
one guy, it was his major was sports something. He was going to be a sports trainer, like for NFL and all that. It was the one with the necklace. Is his name Hunter?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess you have to go back to when she was walking down the street because the sleeves were down to her knees. It just doesn't seem like it's her jacket. Maybe the kid with the hoodie was wearing it and he gave it to her. Okay. So before we get into, because we'll look into Twitter, we'll check the Reddit afterwards, but we're going to get into a little education about this incel community. Men going their own way. Personality profile. This is so bizarre to me, Kaz. Have you heard
Oh,
about this before?
Jennifer.
No, but Jennifer Nobles, wowza. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer, so much.
Love and peace to you.
I love coming here. Your channel is respectful and you have wonderful friends. Aw. And everyone in chat, much love, peace to you and your families. Aw, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, we
And
love our crowd.
yeah, we do. And Jess, I did have a lovely time yesterday, but I overdid it and I'm paying the consequences today. And I'm not talking about alcohol or anything like that. I just overdid it generally.
She's talking about that wild thing.
Well, she's not an incel, that's for sure.
Oh, come on.
Well,
Hey.
you're married. Just joshing.
I know.
Okay. So we're going to watch this doctor, which is it's on the boring side, guys. I'm not going to lie, but it's very informative. It's not long. We're going to speed it up. Then we are going to jump into Alek Minassian, the Toronto boy that rented the Ryder truck and decided to go joyriding on the sidewalks, killing 10, injuring 6. And then we are going to watch a little bit of his interview when he's discussing about being an incel and why, and his leader, Elliot Rodger. I personally think Elliot Rodger was a wimp, a little coward boy. I don't feel this Idaho Quadruple murderer is by any means a coward. I think he's a complete psychopath.
He's got to be.
Welcome, Karen. Can you please email Kaz? Go ahead, Kaz.
Yeah, well, you said it. Can you just send us an email to MonkieMar@gmail.com? I'll pop it into the chat and I will send you an email. But welcome to the family, Karen.
Welcome, Karen. Yeah, we got some good stuff coming up in the new year. Book club, movie night. I still got to start my giveaways. We got to get past Christmas. I'm so glad Christmas is over. Now I can start doing other things. Okay. This is Dr. Todd Grande. I'll put the link in my description afterwards. He's got 1.24 million subscribers. He must be saying something right. So he's talking about the MGTOW or something, community personality profile, about the new incel world.
To my scientifically informed insider look at mental health topics. If you find this video to be interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question: men going their own way movement. Sometimes it's called a philosophy. Other times it's called a community. And we see the acronym MGTOW is used for this community. And it's referred to as MGTOW. So there's some other questions related to it. Is there a particular personality and mental health profile associated with the MGTOW population? And is MGTOW? So to get started here, what is MGTOW? Well, it's not a group of activists. They're not well organized. essentially it's really a collection of websites and forums, sometimes referred to as the manosphere. And there's no standardization of beliefs throughout the system, so it's kind of fragmented into little factions, which makes it kind of hard to study. There's not a lot of research on this construct, and again, there's a lot of different understandings of it. It's really on a continuum. The beliefs are on a continuum. So with these different factions having all these different beliefs within this community, it is difficult to make generalizations, but I have seen some patterns over the years in dealing with a number of people from this community and what little we see in the research literature. Now, the MGTOW population or community is different than men's rights activists. Both groups believe that women are not oppressed, but rather men are oppressed. But the activists are actively trying to fix what they believe is the problem through organized events, through activity. And women can be men's rights activists. The MGTOW population is a little bit different because they do not really operate as a community to achieve change. So again, they're not really organized. Rather, they're trying to protect themselves and their resources through a lifestyle choice. So they don't have public meeting conferences, and women are to be a part of the community.
Okay. I hate to say this, but at the end of the day, this whole entire Incel group, from what I've gathered of all of the research that I've done, is that the girls are Stacy's and the boys are called Chads. Good looking people that have relationships in the normal world. The Incels want to kill, get rid of, well, not kill, sorry, they didn't say that word, get rid of all the Chads so that the Stacy's will have to reproduce with the Incels. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. And that's what the females are called, Stacy's. And the good-looking lads are called Chads. Hey, Lilac, Merry Christmas. Crazy. So if we don't have any more Chads in the world, then the Stacy's are going to have to reproduce with the Incels.
Now, ostensibly, with this MGTOW population, there are 5 levels, which is kind of interesting because the levels go from 0 to 4, and a lot of times they refer to 4 levels. So I don't know if they're just forgetting to count the 0. Maybe they're just not really good at math. I don't know what's going on here, but 0 through 4 is definitely 5 levels. So just to clear that up. But either way, you can see it's not really an organized philosophy. If they can't even get the level counts correct, that doesn't speak to like a high level of organization. So I'm just going to go based on this idea that there are 5 levels, but really I think there are 3 levels. And the middle level can be divided into 2. So I'll talk about what the levels are as we see it in different online materials, and then I'll discuss, I think, what's really going on in terms of the categorization and how that hierarchy really works. So the first level, the so-called level 0, is what they refer to as situational awareness. Sometimes this is referred to as taking the red pill as opposed to the blue pill, which is a reference to the movie The Matrix. And really the red pill is about trying to understand the truth, even if it's frightening, and the blue pill is kind of like going along with society. So kind of, again, a reference to that movie. So this situational awareness level, here we see this belief that the concept of gender equality is essentially propaganda. And furthermore, that feminism is the downfall of Western civilization, or it will be the downfall. So if somebody believes this, they've taken the red pill, in theory, and they're situationally aware, and they've accomplished level 0. Now, moving on to level 1, this is when a man has no long-term relationships with a woman, and level 2 is no short-term relationships or sex. So usually we look at level 2 and think that level 1 is really necessary for level 2 to be kind of someone's position or lifestyle. Now, level 3 and level 4 really depart quite a bit from the rest of the MGTOW philosophy that I've talked about so far, and I kind of put these in a separate category, but again, I'll get to that in a few moments. So level 3 is kind of breaking from society in an economic sense. So believing the government is trying to steal your money, so you only earn enough money to make a living. So here it really starts to sound even more like a conspiracy theory than it did with just the first few levels. Now, level 4 is breaking from society at a physical level. So living off the grid, no more contact with women or men, except perhaps through social media. Like someone could still be a member of the MGTOW community in terms of communication. So social media and the internet would still be available at this level 4. But some people have this level 4 positioned a little more strongly, where they don't really contact anybody. And sometimes this is referred to as going monk. But of course, that could also be achieved just with the level 1 and 2 together, right? So again, can't emphasize enough that this movement isn't really well organized in the way they've kind of positioned their policies or their beliefs. So now moving to this question, what about the personality and mental health here of the MGTOW group? Well, before I get into my categories where I break that down, it is important to recognize here that somebody could have these beliefs and not have a mental disorder and not have extreme personality traits. These beliefs exist on a continuum, so it would really depend on how extreme somebody was on this continuum, like what their position was in terms of their beliefs. I mentioned before that the so-called levels are really not levels at all. They're really categories. So somebody could choose, for example, to have no long-term relationships and even avoid sex, but still believe in gender equality. So they make it seem like the levels kind of stack on one another, but they don't. They're just categories. And somebody can be in one category and not be in the others. So with that in mind, what are the personality and mental health characteristics? So I've noticed certain tendencies over the years in my clinical experience. And I believe that before there ever was this community, this idea existed. I've seen people throughout the years who have all these levels or some of these levels and even additional levels, even things that MGTOW doesn't cover, who never knew what MGTOW was. And some didn't even have access to the internet. I've seen the MGTOW philosophy manifest differently than the level system that I discussed before. I mentioned, I believe there are 3 categories. The first category would be people that believe that gender equality is propaganda, so that matches with the level 0, but don't really do any of the other things, right? They don't necessarily believe that they should not have relationships with women, and they're not economically and physically isolating. The second category would be people who don't necessarily have an opinion on gender equality or feminism, but have difficulty with women. So they have difficulty in dating situations like awkwardness, or they've had bad experiences with women, like in the family court system. And the last category, here's where I put people who want to economically and physically disengage from society. So to me, this is very distinct from the other beliefs. So merging them together doesn't actually make a lot of sense, but I'll talk about later on how it may make sense from a mental health and personality point of view. So those are the 3 categories that I have. However, it's important to remember that I've technically seen people who can be in all 3 categories at the same time, which would be consistent with how MGTOW represents their levels. But mostly I see people who are really in just one of these categories and only one. So now to break down the mental health and personality characteristics for each category. So with the gender equality category, we really see this as some sort of political belief. It's an unusual belief, especially this idea that feminism is destroying the Western world. But this is still tricky because it is on a continuum. So somebody could have their doubts about gender equality, but not really be an extremist. So again, it just gets difficult to assign really clear mental health or personality characteristics. But in general, I would say elevated paranoia, maybe even paranoid personality disorder in some cases. And with personality, we would see low agreeableness, like on the 5-factor model of personality. We see openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. OCEAN, that's the acronym for it. Again, low agreeableness here. We also see that people in this category tend to have had tough experiences with relationships, like divorce and family court. I mentioned that before, like losing money in family court or losing custody of children. And there's an increased tendency in this category to believe in conspiracy theories. Really, this is true for all 3 of the categories. So sometimes, again, this is just a belief and people don't necessarily act on it. So access to this population is kind of limited because they're not treatment seeking. Somebody is going to have an opinion about gender equality, but then moves them to come in to see a mental health counselor, because a political belief is not the same thing as a mental disorder. So again, we just have very little access to observe this population to kind of determine what the characteristics are. Now, the second category would have a stronger and more notable relation to mental health characteristics. And this is the category, again, with people that don't want long-term or short-term relationships with women. So I typically divide this category into 2 subcategories: individuals who are socially awkward and individuals who have an aversion to women.
Okay, we gotta pinpoint what kind of person we think we're dealing with. Definitely socially awkward. I can see this guy hanging out at the corner of the bar, just like sitting there watching all the college kids having a good time, a little bit older, and thinking, how come I can't get a girl like that?
Yeah, the oddball or outcast.
Oh, definitely. This guy is definitely socially awkward. But I also think that I'm still searching the military bases guys around. It's very hard. You can't find people who have been kicked out of the military. But I'm looking for articles and people that were once in the military and maybe like caught peeking in someone's window. I've been searching and looking into voyeurism. Like I'm knee deep into this, guys. Like you can't get me out.
Like on those barflies, or not just a barfly, but someone that I kind of feel bad for because they're alone, and I try to interact with just for example, one time I tried to interact with a guy, and I'd see him several times, and he just wouldn't loosen up. He wouldn't talk. He would just say hi, and even if I stood there, he wouldn't, communicate. And I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? So then I just started leaving him alone, and he was just there. Then later on, I saw him somewhere else, and he was acting the same way.
Yeah.
So now, and one time I asked, I said, why don't you ever talk to me? He goes, oh, that's not me. That's my twin. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, trust me, you're lucky you could have ended up in Bandera County.
Shush.
This is so
Yeah.
he's going to
Go ahead.
get into the part now where the two different types, and we're definitely I'm going with the socially awkward one. But I feel like this guy is older, grew up in a hunting family. Maybe he's got some military. I mean, this guy was in and out like a ninja.
Can be a frustration to a hate. First, actually fairly common. This is a man who actually wants to have a relationship with a woman, but personality and mental health symptoms get in the way. For example, you see characteristics like low extroversion, so being highly introverted, high neuroticism, so being vulnerable to anger and depression and anxiety. We also see mental health characteristics consistent with generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, panic disorder. And when we look over at personality disorders, we see avoidant, narcissistic, and dependent personality disorders are overrepresented here. So what happens here is sometimes people in this subtype say they dislike women or hate women to explain why they're not successful in relationships. But again, sometimes they really do want relationships with women. Now, the second subtype of this category is a little different. These are men who actually do hate women, and to the level where it's kind of a conspiracy theory. So they act like women don't act as individuals, but are rather in some sort of coordinated effort to persecute men. So here we'd see personality characteristics like being low in openness to experience, mid-range or low in extroversion, low in agreeableness, and I don't really see a particular association here with neuroticism. Now, with that low openness to experience, of course, this leads to rigid and dogmatic thinking, not being good at critical analysis, and somewhat consistent with that, we see some paranoia. Now, overrepresented mental health symptoms would be related to paranoid personality disorder, so a tendency to have a grudge. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with financial loss, like family court. I mentioned that before. We see some association with schizoid and schizotypal. Paranoid and schizoid and schizotypal altogether are the cluster A personality disorders. So those three personality disorders are put together in one cluster, and that is the odd eccentric cluster. Now, we also see schizophrenia overrepresented. This shouldn't be surprising because this does have an association with conspiracy theories. And we also see narcissistic personality disorder, and this would be someone who's highly self-centered, entitled, and arrogant. Now, moving to the third subtype, this is the economically and physically disengaged. I've seen this a few times. Usually this has nothing to do with women, but I have seen it tied in with women before. So I have seen it kind of in a way consistent with the MGTOW philosophy. The mental health and personality characteristics here would be low extroversion, low agreeableness, and low neuroticism. So somebody is usually fairly calm if they fit into this category where they're willing to disengage from society. We see cluster A personality disorders, I mentioned this before, as well as schizophrenia in terms of the mental disorders. Now, this disorder and personality overlap between those who don't like or don't get along with women and those who want to abandon society might explain what we see with this MGTOW philosophy. MGTOW has put these two categories together, even though they really don't make sense, right? The dislike of women wouldn't necessarily lead to an isolation from society. But from a personality and mental disorder perspective, it does make sense, meaning the same mental health and personality characteristics could lead to both beliefs. So again, this explains the overlap in the MGTOW philosophy. So those are my thoughts on the categories. Overall, I think that this philosophy always existed at some level, but we just see more of it now because of the internet. I don't really see it growing dramatically as a philosophy, although frequent communication over the internet and social media with this community has allowed it to grow into a conspiracy theory in a sense. So I think at many levels, it does qualify as a conspiracy theory. Overall, though, I think it's just a small percent of the population that actually falls into any of these categories. So if someone finds themselves really preoccupied with these beliefs, it may be a good idea to talk to a counselor. Counselors don't try to change what people believe. They don't judge. They can help people to clarify their values and explore the causes and consequences of belief. So I think talking to a counselor is always helpful, but particularly if somebody's moving toward kind of extreme beliefs that, again, may qualify as a conspiracy theory at some levels. Now, when I talk about topics like this and going their own way and these other topics, there are going to be a variety of opinions, people who agree and disagree with me. Please put those opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate really interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found this description of the Men Going Their Own Way community to be interesting. Thanks for watching. Welcome to my
Look at the baby woke up. Hey, Fiona. Okay. Before we get into Alek, what do you guys think about what he just said?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, this is an interesting group. So, most of you know who Elliot Rogers is. Hello, Millennial. Merry Christmas. Let's watch this video. It's from ABC. It's just 8 minutes so we can get an idea of. So this guy After he did what he did, he was known as the God.
6 of its students.
He was actually known as the God in the incel community on this Reddit feed that we found. And then once we get in the dark web, we're going to find more. I think
Okay.
I forgot about that, Paula. I forgot that he stabbed his roommates first. I totally
Oh,
forgot
shoot.
about that. Yeah, he stabs his roommates, and then he goes and with a gun to the campus. Let's check this out. It's only 8 minutes, so we can get an idea, so that people maybe who do not know who Elliot Rodger is. This is the incel goddess, is what they claim.
University of California Santa Barbara community is in mourning. The gunman who methodically planned the attack chronicled his descent into a deranged rage. How did this young man, who seemed to have everything, become a mass murderer?
And he was
Tonight, we take a close look at the clues and his parents' futile race to try to stop him. ABC's Cecilia Vega is in Santa Barbara.
Tomorrow is the day of retribution.
Is this the latest face of evil in America?
You forced me to suffer all my life, and now I'll make you all suffer.
An angry and psychologically twisted young man whose public rantings exploded into sheer terror in a quiet California community.
Shots fired.
Taking 6 young lives and injuring 13. 22-year-old Elliot Rodger, the son of Hollywood privilege, but sexually frustrated. A virgin vowing revenge in a twisted video he posted Friday addressed at his perceived enemies, young women he says rejected him.
All those girls that I've desired so much, they would have all rejected me and looked down upon me as an inferior man if I ever made a sexual advance towards them.
Deep delusions that would turn deadly.
I hate all of you. I can't wait to give you exactly what you deserve.
And tonight, the University of California, Santa Barbara shut down. Classes canceled, flags flying at half staff, a community in mourning. Thousands coming together for an emotional memorial service.
Let us cherish the moments that we've shared with them and be grateful to have had them in our lives as friends, as family, and as loved ones.
And now new details are emerging about Rodger's life. His parents divorced. His father, Peter Rodger, a respected director who worked on the Hunger Games. But their son, Elliot, lived his life as an angry outsider. A family spokesman telling ABC News Rodger had been in therapy from 9 years old. But this painfully shy young man creating on video what he couldn't in life.
I've waited a long time for this.
Is the killer's attempt to recreate his persona in a sympathetic way and in a way where he can get understanding, relevance, meaning, where his life has no meaning at all.
This was a plan years in the making, executed methodically. The apparent revenge fantasy set in motion Friday night at 9:17 p.m. Elliot Rodger's therapist calls Elliot's mother, Chin, alerting her to an email from her son with a manifesto called My Twisted World. 137 pages pouring from this tortured mind. Childhood, teenage years.
I actually got that manifesto, guys, and I can show you in my history. I pulled it out 4 weeks ago, and I think I read it, the whole entire thing. He reminded me so much of the Parkland shooter and his words. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And it's his father is big in Hollywood with the Hunger Games. He's a good-looking kid. He's got money. So, I mean, is it something that weird about him that he was that socially awkward? Like, wow. You know?
I mean, he wasn't bad looking.
Exactly.
But they said he's, someone in chat said he was a small guy.
But coming with all that money and not being ugly and still being a small guy, you wouldn't think that it would have been too hard for somebody like him to get a girl.
Yeah, it's kind of like that guy I was talking about. He's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want you talking to any more strangers.
The portable charger worked. Oh, that was years ago.
Yeah, well, no more.
Finally, an elaborate plot to kill.
He's so invested in carrying out killing, he'll sit and write and edit and re-edit something that amounts to 140 pages. make a variety of different videos, and mobilize to a degree that.
No, millennial. He looks like Kelsey Grammer, but he was the guy that worked on the Hunger Games. Yeah, he does look like Frasier, though. I agree, but it's not Frasier.
This becomes a project, an ambition, a career path.
His mother, alarmed, checked her son's YouTube channel. Immediately, she called her ex-husband, and they raced to Santa Barbara, saying they call police along the way. But it's too late. The first 3 victims already dead. Roger's 2 roommates, James Cheng, Yuan Hong, and George Chen, along with their friend, Waihan David Wong, all stabbed to death in this apartment building. A death too terrible for George Chen's parents to even contemplate.
I just don't know why this happened to our son. It's crazy. This doesn't make any sense.
At 9:27 p.m., the first reports of a mass shooting underway.
Shot fired.
Just as soon as we heard the noise, it was so close and just so terrifying.
Roger's next target, a sorority. He says to take revenge against all the girls who he believed rejected him.
After I've annihilated every single girl in the sorority house, I'll take to the streets of Isla Vista and slay every single person I see there.
This young man seems to have had a complete lack of skills and ability to interact with anybody, let alone the opposite sex.
He banged on the door of Alpha Phi. When nobody let him in, he shot 3 women around the corner, killing 2, Catherine Cooper and Veronica Weiss. But Roger's rampage wasn't over. 9:30 p.m., he opens fire at this deli filled with students. Surveillance video shows people diving for cover.
I honestly thought that was my last moment. I thought I was going to die.
His final victim, Christopher Michaels Martinez.
I gave him CPR for 10 minutes before the paramedics showed up.
Our son was the most important thing in the world to all of us. He was our only child. And he was so much a part of our lives. It's hard to imagine how things are going to be like now that he's gone.
At the end, Roger, driving in his black BMW, plowed down bikers and indiscriminately shot pedestrians.
Some guy ran in our house bleeding everywhere. He said he got run over by a car.
Nick Pasachuk was skateboarding with friends when Roger rammed into him, sending him flying in the air.
Both his legs are broken. His left leg was completely shattered.
By 9:33, it was over. Roger and police in a gunfight. The killer drives away, but then crashes his BMW, apparently turning the gun on himself. Police say they found 400 rounds of ammunition in Roger's car, and that he carried out his shootings with legally purchased semi-automatic handguns. He was under psychiatric care, his parents saying they did everything they could to help a shy, reclusive son, even reporting his disturbing videos to police last month. Police went to his home, but say they found no cause to search it or order a mental evaluation.
Because of the narrowness of the law, danger to self, others, or grave disability, those officers acted in accordance with the law.
But in his manifesto, Roger wrote, "If the police would have searched my room, found all of my guns and weapons, I would have been thrown in jail, denied of the chance to exact revenge on my enemies." Thankfully, that wasn't the case, but it was so close.
The problem is that we send the authorities, who are not mental health professionals, to check on this young man, and it takes a very trained eye and a lot of skill to decide whether or not this person is a risk to hurting themselves or hurting others.
His anger at sexual rejection morphing to misogyny.
Girls gave their affection and sex and love to other men, but never to me.
And now, a worldwide outpouring, more than 1 million tweets decrying a culture that turns women into sex objects. #YesAllWomen, now fighting back.
Because every woman I know has experienced some form of sexual harassment, abuse, or assault, myself included.
And on campus tonight, remembering those lost, sharing the pain, and searching for answers.
If you agree that the people in here die because of this ridiculous situation, then when I raise my hand, I want you to shout so loud that they're going to hear you. Not one more! Not one more!
For Nightline, I'm Cecilia Vega in Santa Barbara, California.
Wow. I actually forgot about the stabbing his 3 roommates and then plowing his car over people.
That's unbelievable.
So the guy that we're going to talk about now was actually his friend, but they had never met in person. And let me show you the tweet, well, the Facebook post that this Alek, the Toronto Incel, what he posted before he decided to go out. I think I sent him to Kaz and Discord. Yes. Okay. And then, but before we get into his interview with the police, I want to show you the footage of the van that he decided to rent, this rider van, and just go flying through the streets of Toronto, where I was born. So this is what he said. Huh. Okay, so he says, Private Recruit Minassian, Infantry 00010, wishing to speak to Sergeant 4 Chan, please. C2324961. The Incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. All hail the Supreme Gentleman, Elliot Roger.
Wow.
Can you imagine? And from what I heard, and the part of this group that we're going to try to get into, which is this group, I think we're going to need the black web, though. The dark web. The black. Yeah, it's the black web, right?
Well, it is dark.
Hang on, I got to cough.
He sounded like he was spoiled too.
Oh,
like
he had
super
a
spoiled.
lot of money.
That is actually a person. I when you sent me that, Mark, I actually popped that into. That's an actual person. 4chan is the room, and R9K is the person.
Yes, I know that, but we need to find out who this person is into this 4chan link. But you
Yeah.
don't think it's funny that it's 4chan? And who's been writing all of the posts on Reddit?
Oh, yeah.
4chan.
You've got 4chan, but they pronounce it like fortune.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know. Do those look, the hearts, do those resemble like a 4-leaf clover? Or
That's why we're going to have to go into the web to figure this out, because we know now if we go into right here,
that's a weird emoji or whatever with the female like a devil. She looks like a
who
devil.
wrote all of this? Who came out with all of these stories about the two people that were doing the deed?
Who's
4chan.
something Anon?
No.
Yeah, 4chan.
4chan. Is it a coincidence?
It's no such thing,
Or-
darling.
Yeah, like
Oh,
4chan is the forum.
Exactly. But these people are somehow in a Reddit feed somewhere, so we need to find the user to that RNK.
Altanon or something like that.
We
It's
need
in
to
there
get into
somewhere.
that 4chan thread.
Yeah, Altanon is someone.
R9K. All right, so let's go ahead now and check out the day that, well, this guy is scary. Wait till you hear his interview and what he says about why he did what he did. Like, shit, I closed it. I got some fast fingers tonight. That's a Shamrock SWAT sticker. Yeah, Alexander, but when you listen to the interviews and when these two Rogers and this guy were talking, they were talking back on a Reddit feed. And he tells you this. He's going to tell the police. And somewhere on this dark web is a feed of these guys talking about wanting to kill girls. And I'm telling you, my gut's telling me that I'm not saying Enon's the murderer, but he's in it. And remember what Joe said from the food truck? Chisme, what did he say? That he was part of what?
That may tell men going their own ways.
Exactly. So the guy at the food truck, which I don't think he's the murderer, but he's part of this group that we just listened to the doctor tell us about.
And I heard alt-right on that 4chan.
Yeah, the real Brenda. I am honestly convinced if we can somehow get into that 4chan feed that people are talking out of Moscow and we can find it, I bet you that creeper is lurking in there. I can just feel it. But this guy's I think this guy's late 20s, early 30s. Okay, so this is really a trigger warning, guys. This is where the Alek kid is going to decide to drive a rider van through the streets of Toronto. And I don't think there's any talking, but Kaz, I got to use the little girl's room, so I'll be back in 2
Okay, darling.
minutes. I'm not even going to speed it up.
Yeah,
Okay,
me
be right
either,
back.
real Brenda. I didn't know this was out there either. It's surprising what you find out.
Yeah, I had never heard
Wow,
of it.
Rayburn.
Wow. Hey, Shredder. Oh no, you left the leftovers behind. Oh my gosh. Wow. I love the way this van just creates its own lane with no regard for anybody. Oh, Junior, that's what I had for over the past couple of days. I don't envy you, darling. Oh, that was close.
He's going to be crossed, just south of Shepherd. Okay, who is in good pursuit and where exactly are you? Hands up! Hands up! Hands out! Hands out! Oh my God! Jump out, take it! Get out! Get out! Jump out! Okay. This is like a beat cross over Shepherd. Anybody down in that area that can give me an update? Get out!
I mean, could you imagine? Huh?
Sorry, 32, 22, yeah, I'm heading over to 32 to help them out where they want me. The last location I had is Yonge south of Beecroft. T43, the unit here at Parkville. Roswell, if the ambulance stays there.
It's actually rare that you get one that's that comes out alive.
That's
Toronto.
horrible.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
normally if you got a gun pulled on you onto a police officer, they shoot automatically.
Yes.
Well, I think the police in Toronto are probably a little different than the cops here. I mean, if he was in the United States, I'm not guaranteeing that he would have made it out of there alive.
Did he kill someone?
He killed 10 people and
Oh my
injured 6.
gosh.
Hang on one second.
Damn.
Let me see. Yeah, he literally ran over. Okay. And now we're going to meet him. Hey, Shredder, Merry Christmas. Yeah, this is now when you're going to hear him talk. This is more than scary. And then after this, we will hop over to Twitter and Reddit and see what's new. And like I said, we're going to try. Hang on, Fiona. This little ferret. Here she comes running across the floor with her whole entire bowl of wet food that I just put together with her little raw egg. And she's trying to put it under the couch.
Well, that's a cave, Mum. Come on.
I've given her so many salmon freeze-dried treats. She takes it, she runs, she comes back in 2 seconds. Come here, little girl. And the treat's not there. I got to find where she's putting them. She probably has a stash of fried salmon somewhere. Well, it wasn't a gun, Shredder. It ended up being his wallet. I watched a video where the cop actually used some type of tactic on him to get him out into the street to come towards him. Yeah, he was holding his wallet like a gun. But that's not the scary part. This is the scary part. And I'm not even going to speed it up. We're probably not going to watch all of it, but just so you guys get an idea of this is crazy. All right, here we go.
At which point he was arrested at gunpoint. He was then brought to a Toronto police station and subjected to interrogation 9 hours later.
And you can just have a seat in the corner right over there, okay? Okay. Just have a seat right there, please.
My gosh.
Thanks very much.
If you want me to pause, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have him looking like he's getting ready to go into space.
I know, just thinking that.
Oh, yeah. Doing good. How are you? Good, good. You drink water? Sure.
That's right, Dragonette.
How you feeling? Feeling good. You feeling okay?
How about
My name's Rob Thomas. Nice to meet you. How are you? How are you? You doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably had better days than this, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am a little shaken, to be honest.
A little shaken?
It's not like it's not my usual day, obviously.
These eerily literal and matter-of-fact responses will be continuous throughout this interrogation. You will not see a shred of remorse, nor a single attempt to mask the horror of what he had done just hours before. He is diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, yet comes across far more sinister than the average person with the condition. An unfortunate myth about the disorder is that diagnosed individuals have no emotions whatsoever. whatsoever, which is simply not the case. They can have a harder time identifying and fully expressing their emotions, yet most are able to do so to a certain degree. Being autistic doesn't mean you are at greater risk of evil deeds. If this character didn't have Asperger's, his moral compass would still be corrupt and would still be void of empathy for the victims, but more able to fake empathy for his own self-preservation.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Yeah. Alek, mind if I call you Alek?
Yeah, sure.
What do your friends normally call you?
Out.
Alek. Alek, my name's Rob Thomas.
I mean, I have to interrupt again. Holy shit. This guy just ran over and killed people. And look at how calm he is. Friendly, sitting down, legs opened, arms opened. He doesn't look like he's intimidated. I mean, I'm just going to sit here and have a conversation. How you doing? I'm doing great. Just ran over 10 people. Hurt 6. Tried to take down a cop with my wallet. I mean, yeah.
Because he's an
And
animal.
like Alexander said, the guy from the parade, yeah, another one. That was disturbing. The fact that he wore women's clothes on the roof. I did a few videos on him. He's definitely probably an incel too. This is crazy to me. How calm and cool and collective this kid is. And remember, he's going to talk about this. That kid, Elliot, is his god.
We call you
Oh,
Rob.
Lord.
Rob from here on.
Hello, Lo.
For the taking the had on the suspect was conclusive. He was without question the culprit. Yet when a crime is so heinous and abnormal, an appeal for insanity is always a strong solicitation from a defense team. Yet if the detective can establish a motive, it can be used to refute it. And the more detailed and clear-cut the motive, the stronger the state's case will be against him. And establishing this motive will be the priority for the detective throughout this interrogation. It's just a case of building a strong enough connection with the suspect to allow him to divulge it. He needs to feel safe and trust the man he is speaking with.
Alek, I want you to understand something. I'm a senior detective with the Toronto Police.
Senior.
You understand what that means?
Yes.
Now, here's what I want to do, Alek. I want to talk to you, okay? We're going to spend a good deal of time together, okay? It's important that I talk to you, all right? I'm going to ask you questions, okay? I'm going to ask you questions about your background, your education, your relationships with your family and friends, work, travel. Speak from the heart.
What happened?
It's 4:20.
There was an incident, and you ultimately got arrested by a police officer. Do you remember that?
I'm going to speed it up.
I do remember getting arrested.
Okay. You remember it was a uniformed police officer who arrested you. So, incident, the time that you got arrested, you were on or near the area of Yonge Street earlier today. Is that right? And a police officer told you that you were going to be placed under arrest. And he placed you under arrest. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Wow.
Do you remember what he arrested you for?
I believe I may have been arrested for something similar to murder.
He carefully avoids defining his actions as murder, and the reasoning behind this will be revealed later on.
Okay. I believe it was originally you were arrested for attempted murder. And subsequent to that, the officer placed you in handcuffs. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, now I remember that.
Do you remember the officer reading you that?
Wow.
To be honest, I encountered I encountered various police officers. I don't remember which one read me that.
Okay, all right. But nevertheless, you were read. We call that caution. You read that caution.
Yes, actually, now that you mention the word caution, I do remember hearing the words of primary caution and secondary caution.
Okay, great. Okay, that's interesting because not a lot of people can remember those words. Okay, so that's what I read you was what we refer to as a primary caution. Now, in addition to that, I just want to clarify one more thing. Did you speak to the police and tell them what happened today?
Sorry, I'm just need a minute to think about that. Are you asking if I in any way confessed?
Well, I'm asking if you yes, if you confessed or if you made a statement at all to any other police officer.
I never made any significant statement about any events that occurred before I was arrested.
Great. Okay, so if you did have any conversation with any police officer prior to being brought into this room, all right, and that includes.
Let me say something real quick about him because I know everything about this kid. He was actually he was in college and he did 7 years and he was almost finished and he dropped out. His mom wanted him to join the Canadian Army. So of course he joined the Army. He didn't fit in. He got strep throat. He got sick. Got out of the Army. Went and finished school. And he got this really good job. And then he's going to tell you the rest of his story. But yeah, I just can't wrap my head around this.
This is weird.
Oh, this is really strange. We got to take notes on this personality because I'm going in undercover. Oh, we are. We're gonna have to make a mail account. Try to get in there. Oh, I'm serious. Oh, I'm dead serious.
Making.
And Cash, you know I am.
I know. That's what worries me.
And I thought it was a
But
regular one.
It's time for us to make a male profile and go into this Incel group as a boy that is, what's the word they said, the phrase? Celibate, but
Involuntary?
Involuntary celibacy. That's my problem.
It sounds
I'll act like that one guy that I was talking about.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Or confession. Okay. I want you to ignore what you said. Okay. And I don't want you to refer back to that conversation. Okay. What I mean by referring back, I don't want you to tell me about any conversations you have with any other police officers. Okay. What I'd like to do is start fresh. We call this a clean slate.
Okay.
So from here on in, okay, I want this to be a fresh start.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
The investigator goes through each sequence of events from the suspect's arrest to his arrival at the police station, as well as each of the charges laid against him. This is essentially making sure the suspect is fit to be interrogated, and further establishing that he...
And also, guys, he does have an interview. He's got an interview. He has an interview out there, but it's 2.5 hours long. This is why I chose this one, because he basically breaks it down in 50 minutes. Because that 2.5 hour one that I watched, I couldn't believe I watched it, but I was just so taken in by this kid. And then I went looking for a shorter one and found him, and I was like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus.
understands his level of jeopardy. All of these steps are emphasized when the suspect has any type of developmental disorder or psychiatric impairment. The investigator needs to remove any slight possibility that a defense team could use to argue unjust or improper practice.
My understanding is you were taken to the cell area?
Yes.
Okay, and you were placed in a cell. And my understanding is that cell is a bathroom. It has a toilet. Yes. It has a toilet and a sink.
Yes.
And then following that, now there were a couple of other events that are important. One was, my understanding is that you were given an opportunity to speak to a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated to the officers that you didn't have a lawyer.
Correct.
And that you didn't know who to call.
Correct.
And so the officers offered you an opportunity to speak to duty counsel, which is that free legal service that I talked about.
Correct.
Okay. And my understanding is you spoke to duty counsel.
Correct.
Okay. And you did that in private, is that right?
Correct.
In other words, there wasn't anybody listening to your conversation?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I don't want you to tell me what the lawyer said. But did you understand what the lawyer was telling you? Yes. Okay. Are you satisfied with the information that he told you? Yes. Okay. So my understanding is, as the night progressed, and as we were learning more information, it came to our attention that 7 people have died. Sorry, 9 people have died. I apologize. As a result of an incident that occurred on Yonge Street. And so subsequent to that, my understanding is the officers came down and they spoke to you to advise you that the charges would be upgraded to 9 counts of first-degree murder. Do you understand what first-degree murder is?
It's a premeditated murder and completely intentional and considered to be what's known as in cold blood.
Well, yeah, that's a fairly precise way of describing it. What we call it premeditated. It means premeditated. You understand what premeditated means?
Yes, it would mean that someone planned for that murder in advance.
Right, planning and deliberation. In other words, if somebody committed first-degree murder, they would have took the time out to think about what they were going to do, sit down and deliberate over the plan. So in other words, they were going to sit down and go over the details of the plan, figure out what it is they were going to do, how they're going to execute the plan, and so on and so forth to commit a murder. Plan and deliberate. That's what it means. So there's a lot of thought and energy that goes into planning to kill somebody. That's what first-degree murder is. You're going to be charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder, okay, as well as 15 counts of attempted murder.
Wow, 15. Wow. So the post that we read to you, hello, marshmallow kisses, Merry Christmas. Well, actually, Christmas is over on the East Coast. Woohoo, it's over. Haha. Does the Grinch dance? Okay, this is a serious subject, I know. But the post that we read before we started the video, that Facebook post about the missionary and the number coding, and he actually posted that while he was sitting in the car after he rented the truck at the Ryder place, because he sat there for like 20 minutes, made the Facebook post before he pulled out and started his... yeah, you started roboting, Kaz. Restart it. Or is it like dead? So that was what he was doing before he rode out, was he made that post on Facebook. Look at how calm he is. And what's on his feet? They probably took his shoes and they gave him like a crime scene booties.
I've read you your rights to counsel, your caution, secondary caution. You wish to speak to a lawyer? The choice is yours.
Yes, I will speak to a lawyer.
You want to speak to a lawyer?
Yes, please.
Okay. Did you have a lawyer, or did you want to speak to duty counsel?
I'd like to speak to duty counsel, please.
Oh, no problem. So can you just hold on? Can you sit tight for 1 second? I'm just going to exit the room here for 1 minute. So before we go any further, just tell me what happened from the time we left this room until the time we came back. What took place?
My lawyer told me not to answer.
Due process was given to the suspect upon the request of legal counsel, and as expected, he was advised to remain silent. Yet this doesn't mean authorities are legally obligated to stop the questioning process once the suspect is briefed. Although the suspect has been advised to remain silent, Detective Thomas will have lost no confidence with regard to the primary objective.
See, now, he said that here, that cop wouldn't have been able to ask him one more question. Interesting.
I understand that, okay? And I'm glad you told me that. You know why? Because that tells me you understand what your rights are, okay? But I mean, you need to understand something, okay? We, the police, have a job to do, okay? And that job includes collecting evidence, speaking to people, trying to understand and uncover what's happened, what took place, and asking questions.
Wow.
And we're obligated to sit down and speak to people like yourself who are in this position and ask you questions, all right? Your lawyer's right, you don't have to answer any questions, okay? But you need to understand something, Alek, okay? I still have to ask you questions, okay? And I'm going to ask you questions, all right? And I'm going to talk, okay? And it's not, I'm not doing that to make you feel intimidated or to make you scared or to say things that you don't want to hear, okay? But the bottom line is we have a very difficult job to do, okay? And this is a very, very important matter that we're dealing with here today, all right? So I'm going to ask you questions.
Get to the point.
If you don't want to answer, you can tell me you don't want to answer. Or you don't have to say anything at all. I totally understand that. But as long as we can still maintain that respect that we talked about at the beginning. Is that cool? Yes. Is that cool? You're not going to offend me, okay? You're not going to make me upset or insult me if you say, Rob, I don't want to answer that question, okay?
The detective recounts the events that occurred from the time they last left the room to the time they returned.
If I'm not mistaken, the officers fed you, is that right?
Yes.
Downstairs in the cells?
Yes.
What did they feed you?
He then poses the first open-ended question, a question that cannot be answered with a yes or no response.
Sandwich and juice.
A sandwich and a juice, okay.
This may seem inconsequential, yet it's a fairly significant breakthrough. The suspect has already unintentionally gone against his lawyer's advice, which would have been to only respond with yes, no, or I don't wish to answer, and only the question is not related to the crime.
Another thing I was thinking about on this Idaho creeper is that, I don't know, I just had this weird feeling that maybe he's got like a speech impediment, maybe he stutters. I don't know why, but everything I've just... Do you notice how he's talking a little off?
Who are you talking about?
Well,
this one guy?
Well, him right here, Alek. He talks like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
a little off. They say
Yeah,
he's got Asperger's.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there so calm, like look at how open his body is. Like the legs are apart, his hands are just like touching, like no big deal.
Yeah. Because he reminds me of a wild animal because, you know, they eat their prey and then next thing you know, they're just looking around, or even a cat. You know, they catch a bird and they kill a bird and then they're just, you know, back to normal.
Just wow.
Yeah.
Crime. If he is capable of making a slip-up this early on, it lets the detective know he will be likely to make a more serious error later on when he encounters more incriminating questions. The strategy will now focus on the development of rapport, while slowly and subtly shifting the dialogue from trivial matters to the actual circumstances related to the crime.
What was that?
I didn't have access to the time at the time I was fed.
Okay. Are you hungry?
No.
Okay. Did you have anything else to eat today?
I ate before I was arrested.
Okay. And what time was that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember what you ate?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. If you're hungry at all, at any point in time, you just let me know.
Yes, he has Asperger's.
If you need to borrow the washroom, you just let me know. Okay. I'm going to leave that up to you to tell me. Okay. Because I'm not going to know if you're hungry or not. I'm not going to know if you need to go to the washroom. So I'm going to rely on you to tell me that. Is that cool?
Yes.
All right. How much sleep did you have last night?
About 8 hours.
About 8 hours. And how did you sleep?
I slept well.
You slept well. And where did you sleep?
Wow.
Was it your home?
I do not wish to answer that.
Okay. All right. Nevertheless, you slept well. Okay. I want to ask you something, Alek, and this is important. Are you on any kind of medication right now?
No.
Okay. So do you take any? What I mean by medication, do you take anything prescribed for any physical injuries or ailments of any type?
I don't wish to answer that.
Okay. What about medication for psychological issues?
I don't wish to answer that.
Okay. Alek, can I ask you this? Because it's important. And I'm saying this because I think I know the answer. But am I wrong to understand that in high school, you were identified as someone with special needs?
I don't wish to answer that.
Okay. How are things at home?
Good.
With you and your family?
Yes.
You're close to your mom and dad?
Yes.
Yeah. And what about your relationship with your brother?
It's good.
I understand you were born in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, and your parents immigrated to Canada some time ago, and they're originally from Iraq. Is that right?
I do not wish to confirm or deny that.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just say that because
that's horrible. I can't imagine seeing it. I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
The investigator evokes the sentimental thought of the suspect's father being worried about him. It's designed to conjure an emotional feeling in his mind.
And I ask you these questions, and I'm not trying to intimidate. I'm not trying to scare you. Okay.
The emotional conception of his father's concern is then interlinked with the immediate questioning process taking place. There is no given explanation of any resemblance or connection between the two elements, yet the intimate thought of his father has now been subjectively merged with the detective. It's a subliminal and also very subtle attempt to build trust. A simple way of putting it would be that the investigator is trying to develop a father figure connection with a suspect, and then use the assurance of a father figure to extract information. You also start to see the detective use terminology and parlance associated with parenthood.
The reason why I ask these questions is because it's important that I get to know you better. All right. We just met for the very first time, and you don't know me. Am I right? Correct. Right. And I've never met you before, but I do know a great deal about you, and it's important I get to know you better. And the reason why I say that is because this is an important issue that brings you here today. Okay, it's very serious.
I really got a big mouth. But could you guys imagine if this would have happened in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, and he was taken into an interview room with one of the United States detectives? Do you think it would have been calm like this?
No. Even the cop was a professional. You know, the detective looks professional.
He's very professional. And I think the reason why he's approaching him like this, because you have got to know that he's got a serious mental disorder. We'll find out where he is today, but he's definitely, every question about his mental health, he didn't want an answer. I'm probably going to assume that he does have mental health issues, and he was not taking his medicine.
And I thought that it was a parade, but
No,
it's
the
not. It was a
parade,
busy street. That's what Donna said.
no,
Busy area.
he was riding down the sidewalks of downtown Toronto, Canada. Did you miss the video that we showed earlier?
No, I didn't miss it, but I saw a lot of people, and I thought there was like a gathering or a parade. But then when I read Donna Miovsky's comment, she said it was right across from the street, right across the street from hers.
Yeah,
And
he was going up and down the sidewalks of
yeah,
Toronto, just running people over. Unbelievable. The kid at the parade, that was in Wisconsin, where he was dressed like a girl. Actually, there's been
yeah.
a couple people that have run over, like the guy that ran over those poor dancing grandmas. Like what is wrong with this world?
Oh, he was targeting
And,
women. Oh shoot.
I think I would be
Oh, he was targeting.
neglectful if I didn't at least try and understand who you are. That's all I'm trying to do. You understand? Yes. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Do you feel intimidated right now? Are you scared or anything like that? No. Okay. Will you let me know if that ever happens? I will let you know. Okay. All right. My understanding is you were in a special needs class in high school. Okay. In my conversation with you, in my experience with people with special needs, because I've been doing this a long time, and I have actually family members who have special needs because of a variety of different reasons. I can recognize
that something's not right with him.
people who who have special needs, and so the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. Okay, I don't want to be saying something that is going to confuse you or make you feel uncomfortable or make you feel scared. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Are you in any kind of relationship right now with an intimate partner, a girlfriend, or a?
Not.
I do not wish to answer that. No. Okay. All right.
See?
What about friends? Do you have a group of friends that you typically hang around with? I do not wish to answer that.
See?
Am I to understand that you've had some military experience in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You have. Okay. Was it in Canada? Yes. Yeah. And my dad was in the military. Did you have a particular skill that you wanted to develop, or?
You know what's funny is he will not answer being no girlfriend, no friend, but he'll tell you everything else about that day, but not his mental health, and not if he has a girlfriend. Hey, Bernadette, Merry Christmas. Oh no, this is Alek Minassian, the one that ran over the people in Toronto, the incel that worshipped Elliot Rogers. Yeah, he's a special one. calm, cool, collective, not upset, not mad, and he literally just killed 10 people.
Was it just?
I was interested in learning how to use weapons, specifically large guns. Unfortunately, I never made it far enough in my basic training to use guns, so I don't know what type of guns the military uses.
Oh, okay. Do you find yourself playing? Do you play a lot of video games? Kind of like you're 25 years old, mentioned you're.
Yeah, I actually like playing video games, especially the violent ones.
The violent ones, yeah.
I just like to let out all my urges.
That's why they're there, right? So as far as being a gamer, how would you classify yourself? Are you like a
I would
big gamer?
classify myself as a hardcore gamer.
Hardcore gamer. So in terms of hours spent during the day playing video games, how often would you? How many hours would you spend?
I would say an average of 5 hours per day.
My understanding is you live at home. You don't live on your own. Am I right?
I don't wish to answer that.
But you have a good relationship with your mom and dad.
Yes.
Yeah. And has your relationship always been good with your mom and dad?
Yes.
Okay. And have they been supportive and loving throughout your life?
Yes.
And were there any difficulties in your life growing up with your mom and dad?
No.
No. What about with school? The difficulties with school growing up?
No.
No. And so when I talk about that, I'm talking about with the school curriculum. You know, the
Bernadette, this was 2018. And we're watching him because this interview was mind-blowing of this thinker of an incel. And the fact that they're in this 4chan Reddit. It's, yeah, you're going to have to watch the replay, but this guy is creepy. But I'm honestly thinking that the guy that did what he did in Idaho has the same thought process.
you know, going to school, learning, and you know, completing your assignments and things like that? Were there any issues?
No.
Okay. What about the students?
No, I never had any issue.
Never had any issue with any of the students or anything like that? No. And I say this because you know sometimes these things are important. Were you? How were you treated by the other students?
I was treated well.
You treated well. Okay. Did you have any difficulties with any particular group of students?
No.
No. What about difficulties with girls in particular?
No.
No difficulties with girls at all?
No.
No, not at all.
He's so full of
How do you
shit.
feel about girls in general?
I'm attracted to them.
Oh, you are? Okay. So you're heterosexual?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that? Okay, that's important. Have you ever had a relationship with a female?
I don't wish to answer that.
Oh, see? That's a no. Hey, Leisha.
In terms of females, I mean females and women, because you're 25, you're a young man, right? We'll call them women. In terms of your feelings towards women in general, how would you describe that?
I would say that sometimes I am a bit upset that they choose to date obnoxious men instead of gentlemen.
Yeah.
Did you just hear that? They tend to date obnoxious men instead of gentlemen. And I'll tell you what else this guy says. No, I don't know. I've watched so many. But one said that they had to get rid of all of the Chads so that the Stacys would have to reproduce with the incels. I was what? And then of course my mind went 1 second to the fact that Ethan was there. Chad and 3 Stacys. This is creepy, guys. I'm gonna mic down and not talk anymore until he finishes talking about his feelings on women. Huh, wow.
So my understanding is you have some problems with
And
women who date
remember,
obnoxious men.
this
And
is
these guys, I'm thinking you're talking about the fellows who are loud, arrogant, generally outgoing and popular with girls.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a problem with the women that date these fellas.
Yes.
Why is it that you have a problem with the women?
wow.
Because I feel that it's illogical to be dating such men when they could be dating gentlemen instead.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, and I've seen that because I've grown up. And I'll tell you one of the issues that I had as a kid growing up, because I was This is going to say you might not believe me, but I wasn't a very big kid growing up. I was actually very small, and it took me a long time to grow. And so as a result, I was kind of ostracized. You know what I mean by ostracized? I was kind of
cast aside.
Cast aside, yeah. And or I left out, like I wouldn't get picked for teams, or anything like that. I was kind of the last guy. You ever see those television shows where all the kids are lined up and they're getting picked for the teams, and there's always one guy left out at the end.
Yeah,
that was me. I was that guy. And I was never very popular with girls in school. And that kind of actually went on through the early part of my adulthood until I started, getting taller and mature, right? But I understand exactly what you meant, because I was, as a kid growing up, I was, I was like any other kid, any other young man, right? They would look at
Actually, this guy
attractive girls.
is a good interrogator.
I knew I was probably just as smart, if not smarter than some of the clowns that I'm dating. But because for whatever reason I didn't have what it took, they wouldn't date me, because I think because I was short. They wouldn't date me, and they'd end up dating the tall jocks and the other the good-looking fellas. So what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Then you kind of resent these girls, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a superficial way of deciding who it is.
Because height is an unfair. You can't control your height.
This is the first time the suspect added his own input to a topic without being asked a question first. It's a sign that he is beginning to develop trust, and the investigator now maintains this development by focusing on the detail that made him open up.
Right. Exactly. Right. What other things can't you control?
You can't.
All right. I am sitting exactly like him right now. I just noticed I'm sitting on my couch with my left leg up over my right knee and my right hand on the mouse. But now that he's starting to talk about the girls, and I am not a body expert, but I can watch this guy and tell. Watch how the foot starts to tap. And I wonder if they put him in that swivel chair. So if he wants to start, going back and forth like it looks like he's getting ready to do. This is really interesting. Hey, Donna. Okay, let me shut up.
Control your looks either.
Exactly.
Merry Christmas, Donna.
Although you're not a bad looking guy.
Thank you.
No, you're a good looking guy. You keep yourself well, and you're fit. You're tall. What other things can't you control?
There goes the rocket.
I'm unaware. I'm not aware of anything else you can't control.
What about like physical disabilities? Right. Obviously, if you were blind, or
Unfortunately, you can't control that.
Yeah, you can't control that. That's what I mean. So these are things you can't control, or other disabilities. If you're mentally handicapped, or if you have an amputee, or
this
there's
subject is bothering him.
So does that would you include that in those issues that you can't control?
Yes.
And so how long have you had this this feeling towards women who are attracted to this particular type of guy?
Hey, Eve.
Ever since I started college.
Ever since you started college. Okay.
Well, what's funny about this is that during the whole conversation regarding him running over people on the streets of Toronto and the post that he posted, he was so calm. Legs were open, chair never moved, hands weren't moving. Once in a while, he would put his hands together. But as soon as he starts getting onto the topic of him, he knows that he's an incel, and he's part of that MG toe, Chisme.
Meg toe, men going their own way.
Yeah, and Meg toe. So, but ever since that, his body language has I think it's amped up 80%. And he's starting to just get a little weird.
Was it something that occurred as a result of a single incident? Was there one particular moment in your life where it sort of struck home?
We are actually going undercover. We're going to make an account and join this community. I am absolutely convinced that this person is part of the community. And he might even be friends with Enon in the community. I don't think Enon did this. I think he would have been arrested already. But I think he might be friends with Enon. Like this guy, Alek, sitting right here, was friends with Elliot Rodger on social media. But they had never met. But Elliot Rodger sent that message to him just before he went on his little deadly spree. And Roger answered him. He'll tell you about it.
This was a problem, or was it just
A broad outline of a motive has essentially been identified for the crime, and the detective is now trying to zero in on particulars. The more detail he can get from the suspect about his established motive, the more incriminating it will be in a court of law.
On Halloween of 2013, I was attending a house party, and I walked in and attempted to socialize with some girl.
Okay. This part right here.
Familiar.
Huh?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. This part right here was one of the most interesting parts that I think I heard, and my mouth hit the floor. Because we also have to remember, and we're going to get into Joe's videos after this one. Joe Vito.
Yeah, he's part of MGTOW, MGTOW.
Yeah, he's part of the same group that this guy is part of. And not only that he's part of, but Elliot Rodger was part of. Now, Elliot Rodger is known by some people the extremist of the group, because remember, you got 0 through 4, 3 classifications. He was the god.
Okay.
The god. Donna, I'm convinced that the person that killed those students probably skinned that dog too. There can't be 2 freaks like that running around in the population of Idaho, and neither one has been caught. Yeah, I call BS on that too. That's probably something only the killer will know.
However, they all laughed at me and held the arms of the big guys instead.
God forbid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of rude. And how did that make you feel?
I felt very angry.
Anger and resentment, the underlying causes for revenge. The reason the legally insane are given leniency is because they are deemed incapable of these complex and multi-layered emotions, thus incapable of acting with evil intent. Their criminal infractions will have no reason or purpose. Yet the suspect has now admitted to quenching the hostility he felt from rejection by inflicting pain and suffering on others.
That they would.
Okay. Think about that for a second. The one thing that sticks out to me are two things so far that really stick into my head. Hey, Karen Hensley. One was the comment that Steve made, and no, I don't think Steve has anything to do with this. But when he said, I could see if Maddie and Kaylee were leaving a strip club, then I could see it being targeted. And another thing is what Enon said when he talks about bringing the bottle of wine over and nobody wanted to drink it except for one person, Kaylee, right?
That's right.
Okay. And then, of course, we have to remember that he never mentions Maddie's name one time. Hey, Georgine. Hey, Sassafras. But Maddie was the only one that Enon followed on social media. But that was the only girl's name that he couldn't remember. Yeah, bullshit. And also remember that he could remember every detail of that SUV, but not the license plate. Does he maybe know somebody in this community, in this underground world of something? I don't know.
I think so.
But this guy right here is scary as anything. And it sounds so much like if they were telling me that I was watching the interrogation of the guy that killed the Idaho 4 right now, I would totally understand and see like, holy shit. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he said that he only has that one friend that he's always with, or that he hangs out with, and he doesn't have many friends.
Oh, I have audio. You guys can hear us?
I can hear you.
Maybe go out and come back in. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying it's like all the interviews and all the people we've listened to and the profilers and the incels and the people that have done this type of thing to Danny Rollins, to Ted Bundy, I'm still convinced it's a Danny Rollins incel. But when this guy talks, it's so eye opening and scary that. But what do you guys think the difference is? Rogers did stab his roommates, and then he went out and shot people, and then ran a couple people over. This one decided to use a Ryder truck. Danny Rollins used a knife, but he was considered a serial killer, and these are considered mass murderers. So is the Idaho guy like half mass, half serial? Is he really that effed up of an individual? I
Good
think so.
questions.
Absolutely. That's what I want Dale Carson to answer. Hopefully, after the holidays, he will answer my email. Let's continue. I'm going to go grab a drink.
Because I considered myself a supreme gentleman, I was angry that they would give their love and affection to obnoxious gurus.
Really. And so it was at that particular moment, and that was sort of the defining moment that made you think that, this is wrong, and these people are
Yes.
are unfairly treating you in the way that they were.
Yes.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I appreciate you telling me that says a lot. And so from that point on, what did you start doing?
I started thinking that it's unfair that certain guys will not get any love and affection from girls.
This is why the word incel is so heavily associated with entitlement. If you're a normal human being, you might feel lonely when you're not getting love and affection, but not enraged. If you think you are entitled to love and affection, when you don't get it, anger and resentment will likely arise.
Okay. And what do you mean by certain guys?
Such as me, that are very nice and act gentlemanly.
Right. Are there other guys? Did you find other guys are the same?
I know of several other guys over the internet who feel the same way, but I know they are, I would consider them too cowardly to act on their anger.
Okay. So, what he just said right there, this group of internet people that he's talking about, the extremists that talk all this violent stuff, because there are some incels that are, they're just not like, I don't think they think about renting a van and running people over. But there's a group that does, and that's the group that we need to get into. And I know Iconic and I have been into the black web and have found a lot of scary things in the Cassidy Rainwater case. And we're going to put Chismian under a mail account. See if we can get into this inside world.
Did he say he considers them cowards? The ones that haven't done what he's done? Is that what he meant?
Well, because the thing of it is that he didn't. I think the difference might be too is the fact that think about Rogers, and we're talking about Elliot Rogers, the one that we watched in the beginning, who this guy worships. The three people that he lived with were his roommates. He knew them, right?
Uh-huh.
How did he kill his roommates?
He shot them?
Not his roommates. He stabbed them.
Okay.
When he went to the campus of the sorority house and they didn't open the door, and so he decided to start shooting on the street and killing people, he used a gun. Then he got in his car and ran over a couple of people. So the thing that's weird, and not weird, but the thing, and I'm a barber, okay? But I do watch a lot of this for many years. I'm totally into forensics, and I just like the backside of the mind part of it. He used a knife on the roommates. I'm sure he had the gun with him. Why didn't he use the gun? Because the knife with somebody to me, in my opinion, is more personal. It's like you want to be there. You want to just, contact kill. This guy obviously didn't have a place to go or people he knew, because if you go back and watch a few videos that he did with his glasses and earbuds in one, like, he's a strange character and his how he grew up. But he chose a truck. Why? Because he probably didn't know anybody or have anyone in mind that he was targeting. That tells me that the incel, and I'm going with the incel, it's my opinion. Everyone can have their own opinion. I respect it. Knew these people somehow, as in town he saw them. He tried to hang out with them or go to the parties like this guy said. You get what I'm saying? And that's why it
Yeah.
was personal to him. Because I think he actually tried to hang out with the crowd, go to a party, and he just didn't fit in. Maybe at the corner club and he was brushed off.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I wish I was 18 again. No, I would probably have had to have been 15 again, get better grades in high school. Not that they were bad. And then I would definitely have gotten into the FBI. I'm only
Me
kidding,
too.
guys. Maybe I'm not kidding. All right, here we
That's
go.
always been interesting to me.
Oh, me too. Since I've been like, it was too late though. I was in like my early 30s, and now I'm 26. So, all right, here we go.
Perfect time.
Okay, so on the internet, where are you talking about in terms of?
Specifically, certain boards on 4chan.
Oh, okay, 4chan. I'm familiar with 4chan. Right, so 4chan is a website, and within 4chan there are these messaging boards.
Yes.
And they're individual boards specific to like-minded people.
Yes.
So when did you first start going on the 4chan?
Since 2014.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so this is where we're going.
Huh?
Oh yeah, we're going there tomorrow.
2014.
See, Chisby, that's what I told you earlier. This has been going on for a long time. I am convinced that mass murders are in two divided down to incels, and then you've got the ones that are like radical, like the Pulse nightclub shooter. He wasn't an incel. Like, but then the kid at the Q Club was an incel. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
the parade, Boston parade guys, radical. These guys are. Would you guys honestly, would you think I was a doctor if you didn't know me? I'm only kidding.
Maybe it's like maybe a criminologist.
I think that's why that's why we're going to get into it. Iconic, Kaz, and Chisme and I tomorrow are going to set up the plan, because it's hard to find the group that he's talking about. I can find the Reddit feed, I can find all of that, but it's darker and it's deeper. That's why we have to make an identity and hey PB&J, happy holidays, and just see what happens. But I believe that this person prowls this group. And it's the group that he's talking about right now in these 4 sectors. We just need to figure it out. And we will. I haven't even begun to even try. And I guarantee you, Kaz and her skills, and Iconic with her digging things and finding little social media things into deeper holes, and Kaz with the forensic background, I think we're going to figure it out. So if we go missing, guys, 4chan kidnapped us.
How did you learn about 4chan?
I was informed about it by a friend at college.
Oh, okay, all right. And was he on it as well?
Yes.
Okay, what's his name?
I don't wish to answer.
Okay, I understand. What's the general
I wanted that name so bad.
The topic within these message boards?
Well, on B, or random, the general topic is random. It's literally any random topic. On R9K, they call us space robots. The topic is usually frustrations at an inability to lose one's virginity, specifically for young males. Poll, which is politically incorrect, is the general topic is basically political discussions with an alt-right bias.
Political discussions with an alt-right, so you're ultra conservative, or you're
Yes.
like in the American definition, you'd be an ultra Republican.
Yes.
Okay, so you.
Yeah, he's an ultra. No, he's an ultra a virgin that cannot get a piece of booty because he's awkward. So maybe what the incels need to do is get a person that can teach them how not to be awkward. You know, right?
Yeah, they gotta loosen up, be more confident, dress appropriately.
And obviously they do not know how to do that because they're lacking some type of low self-esteem, and they definitely have a personalities disorder. Cluster A, B, or C? I don't know. They
They
could
need
have all of them.
meds, therapy, life coach, but good ones.
Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should send you in as a person and then send Kaz in later as somebody that can act like a therapist that wants to talk to these guys about maybe changing. Oh, I got a good idea. Okay, let's listen to this. We'll do this in Discord too. All right.
What would your political
I got the next 3 days off.
views be in the alt-right?
Shit, girl.
I actually don't have any political views. I only
Shit, I got work to do.
with them was just because I enjoyed their style of conversation.
Okay, and what was the style of conversation?
It was very blunt and honest.
So what would it be? What would it typically focus around, or what would the typical conversations contain?
Red pill truths about why women choose to date obnoxious men.
Date the Chads.
Yeah.
Chads of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the Stacey's going for the Chads.
Exactly. The Stacey's are the.
Do you wonder? And he's not the only one. Even Elliot Roger. Why are they? Why is it obnoxious? Like, I'm not understanding. I mean, obnoxious to me is somebody who is just like my ex-husband, a pain in the ass, obnoxious, like somebody you're around and you're like, I don't know, just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it me, or is that just a weird terminology to use for the Chads?
Obnoxious?
Yeah.
For the Chads. Oh, probably because they kind of, they kind of are obnoxious, really loud, real confident, like I was saying, and you look at them and you're like, shut up, man,
Yeah, like
maybe
loud,
that's how
obnoxious, walking
Yeah.
up to you.
Mm-hmm.
One sec. Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Here you go. Yeah, I drop all the links in the descriptions too after the videos. Usually before them, but tonight I couldn't do it because I was running late. So I couldn't get the links in before the video tonight. But yeah, they'll all be into the description. But that's what I'm saying, like obnoxious, like you would think it was somebody like walking in, they slap you upside the head, or you're drinking a beer and they slap it, or something's playing and they're just being like dancy or just.
Yeah. Instead of being a competitive, you're more like you feel like the underdog.
But that's why I think it's a code word.
Chad?
No, I think obnoxious is a code word.
Oh.
I think it's a code word for something else, just like the Chad and the Stacey's, because these incels call the Ethan types are Chads, and the Xana types and the Kaylee and Maddie are the Stacey's. Whoever came up with that, I am just not so sure. Oh, it's definitely a cult. We're going into this cult.
They should, instead of being kind of clueless about these other people that are awkward, they should help, help them. But then again, they don't really want help. Like I would try to get that guy to, to have a conversation with me, and he wouldn't even speak. He'd just look at me like I was freaking crazy. And I could tell he wanted to say something. So I guess, you can try, and then you finally have to just give up because, they don't want to, they can't change.
Exactly. That's why if we have going in Kaz trying to act like just like wanting to ask them questions about why they wouldn't even want to talk to a therapist, like, yeah, this is a whole cult.
Yeah, the dizzy dumb girls dating the goofy jocks.
Yeah.
Right. So you call them Stacy's and Chads.
Yeah.
I've heard that term before. I've done a little bit of reading, and I know a little bit about involuntary
celibacy.
Celibacy, right? So being celibate, involuntarily celibate. What does that mean?
That means celibacy means someone who never has a sexual intercourse.
Right.
Involuntary celibacy means this wasn't your choice. You essentially are have been thrown into true forced loneliness, and you're unable to lose your virginity.
Right.
This is especially painful for young males.
So
when did you first? Sorry, you mentioned this, and I forgot. What's going on?
Painful.
Okay. If you can't lose your virginity, why wouldn't you just go like on the back page and get like an escort or something? Like I mean, even you could do that.
Who, me? Just kidding.
No.
I know what you mean.
So that tells me that it's not that they want it, they don't just want to get rid of their virginity, but they want to do it with a Stacy, which to me makes it a little more interesting.
Yeah, and he said it hurts.
Yep. And
he
now
said it's painful. I'm sorry. He said it's painful.
Right.
Or
and
that
now
it hurts.
Yeah. Right, Junie, exactly. Oh, awkward. And look at now how he's opened back up. Legs open, hands back on his lap, chair's not shaking because he's talking about because he's so comfortable talking about how he can't stand the Chads because they get the Stacys, and the Stacys don't like him.
2014.
2014. Specifically when in 2014?
May 23, 2014.
How were you able to remember that?
Masturbate.
Because I remember that was a very significant day.
Okay. What was that?
Wait a second. You know what, Shredder? I can't stand you. You're lucky I love you. Hey, Dia. Happy holidays. Do you think incels masturbate? And I'm not being stupid or asking something. Anyone in the chat, please. I mean, honestly, do you think that they even masturbate, or is it just like I will, Jenny?
I think they do overdo it. Like it's kind of like an obsession.
Okay.
Or else maybe some can't do it at all.
Well, I guess when we put Chisme into the group tomorrow, she'll have to make a comment like, am I the only one that masturbates 50 times a day? And see if they come back and what they say. All right.
That was when Elliot.
Hey. No lo sé poquito.
Roger decided to essentially commit an uprising, a beta uprising, if you will, against the Chads and the Stacys.
Okay, and that was in the United States.
Yes.
So explain to me this movement. What's this movement about?
It's basically a movement of angry incels, such as myself, who are unable to get laid. Therefore, we want to.
Okay, I'm really gonna get up and go to the bathroom so we can listen. But remember, so the extreme, there's definitely some good incel guys out there that are just trying to like whatever. But the extremist angry ones is what he is and what Elliot was the goddess of, because they worship him now. But this part right here to me just shook me.
Overthrow the Chads, which would force the Stacys to be forced to reproduce with the incels.
Right. Okay. When you say incels,
involuntary celibate.
Celibate. So that's just a short form for fellas who
can't get laid,
can't have sex. Right. Okay. And What happened in the Elliot Rogers uprising? What did he do?
I know he used a gun as well as a vehicle to convert the life status of certain individuals to a death status.
Right.
Only to carry the message that incels can't be oppressed.
Right. Right. So it was an act of rebellion.
Yes.
And it was out of frustration and anger.
You could call it an incel rebellion.
Incel rebellion. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. So what did you discuss with these guys?
We discussed our frustrations at.
See, he left out the fact that Elliot also stabbed 3 of his roommates before he left on his binge. Hello, Cree's Crazy Life. Yeah, let's not forget about the stabbings, the personal parts of the people that he lived with. Interesting. That's what tells me that this incel Idaho 4 person definitely knew or tried to get into the group. Like I said, if Enon did it and then he arrested him, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think so. But I think he's part of the group that the person is somehow involved in or knows, just like Joe's in it. It's something there.
Society and being unable to get laid. And we were
like, I'm to the point I don't give a shit what cars drive by. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, this one drove by, a truck drove by. Looks like the one that Jack the Core drove. Yeah, I'm to the point where this is somebody that tried to hang out with them. And if he went to the parties, they didn't give him the time or day. And that's probably how he was in the house. Considering he probably just, what this guy did, oh yeah, I would go to the parties, but nobody would talk to me. And, you know, the obnoxious boys and the girls would be having their hands on each other. That's probably what this one did at the house. Tried to fit in. But they weren't having it.
Plotting a certain timed strikes on society in order to confuse and shake the foundations, just to put all the normies in a state of panic.
Okay, and who would be a normie?
Normie means normal
Hi,
people. That would be
Gemma.
anyone who is considered to be normal by the unfair standards of society.
But not the Chads or Stacys.
Chads and Stacys are actually...
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt anymore. That's funny, Gemma. I have been saying since week 2 that I believe that this is an incel stalker that's been hanging up in those tree lines, watching. I didn't know which girl or which person at first, but now I'm absolutely convinced it was Kaylee. Could have been Kaylee and Maddie. But yeah, I looked him up 4 weeks ago and read about him when somebody had mentioned him in side chat. But this guy right here, from what he tells us as being what an incel is just, it shook me. Because to me, Elliot Rogers was like he was a good looking kid. His father was in the Hollywood thing. He had money. I don't understand why he was so socially awkward that he couldn't get a girl. I think it was in his mind a lot too. But yeah, crazy. But this one, so far that I've listened to, and I probably listened to about 5 incel interviews, this guy really explains from, I don't know, I can't explain it, but he's just so honest about what this group's about and what they are into. But I'm talking about the extremist ones, not the ones that probably, like Ray told me, masturbates and probably gets those dirty magazines. But this right here says a lot. This kid right here, he is definitely, he has serious mental issues.
above normies, or at least they think they're above normies.
Okay, all right. So is it fair to say you've got Chads and Stacys up here, normies down here, and then you've got celebs who believe that they are being
Incels.
Incels, sorry.
Yes.
Incels who believe they're being suppressed or repressed, and so as a result, even the playing field.
Yes.
They convert the
Gemma,
Stacy's and
I'm more of
Chad's
a
from Living to
Danger
Dead,
Wallen
and to
So
make
that we come out on top.
type of
yeah,
person.
more than so. Is there
Who's an
so the
incel.
targets? Who are the targets for this uprising be?
All of the alpha males.
All the alpha males. So the Chads.
Yes.
So those are the people that you want to kill.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And who else?
Any of the Stacys who do not wish to give their love and affection to the incels.
So they're a target as well.
Yes.
To be killed.
Yes.
Okay. And what about the normies?
He just wants to kill him.
Normies.
Yes, we don't necessarily wish to kill the normies, but we do.
Okay. I can't stop talking, Caleb. I also want you guys to notice how he's talking. It's not me. Who is he referring it as? Come on, Chisme, you paying attention?
His God. Yeah. His
No,
God.
We.
Yeah, the group. The MGTOW.
Absolutely. The group that we need to get in. The group that we are going to get in tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad it saw chat because they recognize my voice.
Well, we'll have to. I know a free voice changer app, but yeah.
Yes.
This part's important to pay attention to in this group because he's going to give away little codes that I've been writing down to how I am going to find this group.
We wish to subjugate them in order to make them understand that that our type is the more superior one.
Right. So when you say subjugate, what do you mean by that?
Meaning either imprison them or put them in a lower position in society.
Okay.
Imprison
so that
them.
They acknowledge the incels or the Pepe the Frog types as the more superior ones.
So you're saying things that I'm not familiar with.
Sorry,
What's a Pepe the
but he's a mascot on 4chan.
He's a mascot?
Yes.
Oh, mascot on 4chan.
Yes. I was using a metaphor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's actually worshipped quite frequently.
Oh, okay. Who did you have conversation with first? Let me ask you that.
Elliot.
So how did you learn of Elliot?
Because we private messaged each other on Reddit after I saw one of his posts, and we just talked about each other, got to know each other, and we found each other very interesting. We both have the same frustrations of society, despite being separated by distance so far apart.
Right. Did you ever visit him?
No, but I wish I could have.
Yeah. Did he ever come and visit you?
No, but I wish he did.
Yeah. When specifically did you first contact or have contact with Elliot?
January of 2014.
2014. And when did you stop having communication with him?
As soon as he was deceased.
Okay. So his act, I know, took place in 2014, but I wasn't aware of the exact day. What day was it?
May 23, 2014.
May 23rd. Yeah, you said that. So when did you last speak to him?
May 20.
May 20th. And so what did he tell you?
He told me that he has to go. He is on a very important mission, and he might not make it back alive.
And so what did you say to him?
I kind of had an idea in my head of what he was planning, but I didn't want to think it was true at the time. So I replied and said, I wish you good luck with that.
Right on. Okay. And so you last speak to him on March 20th.
May 20th.
I'm sorry, May 20th, 2014.
Yes.
He commits his acts on the 23rd of May.
Yes.
And when did you learn that what he had done?
I saw it on the news later that night.
Later on the 23rd.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you think?
I thought that I came to the understanding that this is the mission that he had to carry out.
Okay. All right. And anything else?
I felt kind of proud of him for his acts of bravery.
Okay. All right. And what about how you started to change your thinking? Was any of that going on?
I was starting to feel radicalized at that time.
You were. Okay. And when you say radicalized, what do you mean by that?
Meaning I felt it was time to take action and not just sit on the sidelines and just fester in my own sadness.
Right on. Okay. So what takes place next as part of this growing radicalization?
To be honest, the planning didn't occur until about a month ago. Most of it was actually just thinking and daydreaming.
Okay. All right. So the thinking and daydreaming, when did that start?
That started about a month after the rebellion in May of 2014.
Okay. So
in June, I started thinking about this stuff.
And then that continued right up to about a month ago?
Yes, which is when I booked the van with the rider in order to use as a tool for rebellion.
Okay, all right. So take me through that process. What was going through your mind, and what were you thinking when you were doing all of this? What was going
I was thinking that it was a time that I stood up to the Chaz and Stacy's.
Okay. And then, so what happened? So tell me what takes place.
So I booked the van.
Yep.
And then I just simply wait until today.
Yep.
And then I go rent the van, and then I drive it, take it downtown to Toronto.
Okay.
And I just start using it as a weapon.
Okay. All right. And so when you say that, what do you mean by that?
Meaning the vehicle collided with several pedestrians, some of who are no longer alive as a result.
Right. Okay. Can I ask, why were you looking specifically for a truck?
Because it would be large enough to inflict severe damage.
Okay, that makes sense. And in this thinking, what were you thinking specifically?
About how the foundations of the world would be shooken by this event.
Okay. And when you say that, what do you mean by the foundations of this world?
Meaning that I was fairly
was
confident that others would be inspired to repeat the same actions as me, in basically just to overthrow society.
Okay.
That's psycho.
Now, what are you thinking while you're in the van?
I'm thinking that this is it. This is the day of retribution.
Okay. And anything else in your mind?
Just that. That's the only thing that's in my mind. It's just burning in my mind.
Burning in your mind.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this is it. I see all these people. It's time to go for it.
Time to go for it. And what do you do?
I floor the pedal.
Yep.
I speed the van towards them, and I allow the van to collide with them.
Okay. And then what happens?
Trigger warning.
Some people get knocked out of the way. Some people roll over the top of the van.
Okay. And then what happens?
I continue doing that until, in fact, actually, to be honest, the only reason I stopped my attack was because someone's drink got splashed on my windshield, and I was worried that I would crash the van anyway, so I just...
Okay, I feel like getting up and punching him in the face. I actually I hit somebody with my car once. I'm not going to get into the story now, but I was 19 years old. And when it's a story. But when I saw this girl's face hit my windshield and fly over the hood, I thought that I was going to have to be taken into the hospital, and just put out, because I was like a total effing wreck. And this guy's just like, that just rolled over my van. I mean, I can still see her face when she hit my windshield. She didn't die.
Yeah,
Thank
he
God.
he has no emotions.
Yeah. The woman that I hit, thank God she didn't die. But at the story of the end, she was a major crackhead. She was high, and she was going to go run out in front of the next car. And this Marine Patrol officer down in Florida at the intersection of Hammondville and Power Line leaving Club Boca. But anyways, yeah, it was scary as shit. And I got out, ran to the back, and found her laying there and took off my jacket. And thank God the cop was there, because you know what, guys? And thank God I slowed down, because I saw her crossing the road. And then she jumped back in front of my car. So I was definitely slowed down to in the 20s. But she hit my windshield like a bug and flew over my car. And she had to have been 50 feet behind my car. And she had 2 broken legs. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
And see, you still have, memories and feelings about that. And this guy, I mean, it just happened and he has no remorse.
Yeah, he's like,
Nothing.
it was, yeah, he said he had a good day. Slept 8 hours, woke up, ate, drove around, and just started running people over.
Decided, okay, now I wanted to do more, but I've kind of been foiled by a lack of visibility. So then that's when I turned right, and I saw the cops approaching, so I decided to pull over and get out of my van.
Okay.
His analytical and strategic preparation for the attack, and the attentive precautions he took for each step, shows an individual with a visibly corrupt, yet undeniably balanced mind. He is not insane, and what the detective has got him to divulge in the last hour of this interrogation will prove that in a court of law.
I see a patrol car pull over, and I hear the cop screaming at me to get out, so I get out, and I point my wallet at the cop with the intent for it to be confused with the gun so that I could be fatally shot.
Oh. Well, didn't he just answer that?
Suicide by cop.
He was hoping to be fatally shot. I did not know that. Yeah, it was crazy, guys. But thank God she lived. And then I called the hospital the next day, and she was trying to sue me with Springer and Springer. I think I lost my insurance. But the craziest part was they called my parents, even though I didn't live with them. But it was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they come and pick me up. And my mom's wearing her bathrobe, and she's got her damn poodle with her.
Mm.
Yeah, they said that she was so high on drugs that she didn't even know what happened to her. It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
And was that something you were thinking about?
Yes.
I know. I mean, what I'm saying
Even beforehand, I premeditated as an attempted suicide by cop.
You wanted to be killed by the police.
Yes.
Okay.
Suicidal tendencies are by no means enough to prove insanity on their own, but they can be used to argue detachment from oneself. If a defense team can prove that the defendant's self-interests were of no concern to himself, they can also lessen the perception of wickedness with relation to the lack of concern that he had for others. The detective will now attempt to garner information that the suspect, in reality, did not intend to die that day.
Can I ask why you decided to equip yourself with a wallet and not something else?
I was worried. I was thinking about purchasing a toy gun, but I was kind of paranoid that for whatever reason, the rental company would ask to see my pockets or any bag if I chose to bring that. So I decided to go as stealthy as possible so no one suspects anything.
The prosecution during his trial will most likely argue that he could have picked up the van first and then retrieved a toy gun afterwards.
Unless you get out of the van, the officer orders correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure I get this right. You get out of the van because the officer orders you out?
Yes.
Okay.
He was ordered out of the van at gunpoint. Had he hit the gas at that moment, he would have most likely been shot, and the prosecution can argue that he was in fear of that happening, which is why he complied with the orders.
And you want to die by suicide by police, so you point your wallet at him?
Yes.
Okay. And do you say anything to the officer?
I actually told him that I had a gun in my pocket, which was untrue.
Right.
Then I twice stuck my left hand in my pocket and attempted to do this just to provoke a reaction.
Okay.
Unfortunately he didn't react.
Right.
So then I ended up being ordered to the ground. So I knew at that point he's not going to shoot me. So I lost. So I had no choice but to just get on the ground.
Okay. Wow. So just walk me through this step by step, because I'm a little confused. So you get out of the van. Sorry, you turn right. You can't see. You hear the police. You know they're coming. You see the police officer approach. You stop your vehicle. You realize this is the end. He orders you out. You get out of the van.
Yes.
Now your plan was to die by suicide by cop. So you said you reached into your pocket twice.
Well, actually, originally I the entire time I was holding my wallets with my right hand, but then when I saw that wasn't working, I reached into my pocket with my left hand and quickly pulled it out and formed my hand into the shape of a gun like this.
Okay.
With the hope that he would panic and shoot me. That, of course, didn't happen.
This entire incident was captured on video.
Here it is again. Yes, they do, Lilac.
These were the two motions that the suspect alleged were for the purpose of provoking a lethal response. They seem convincing, yet notice where the cop was looking and where his gun was pointed at that moment. Eyes looking to the right, away from the suspect, and weapon pointed towards the ground. The assailant most likely knew he wasn't going to be shot. The police officer was on his own and was incredibly brave to initially confront the suspect without backup. Yet at this moment, he's assessed the threat and recognized there is no need to use deadly force. He wouldn't have taken his eyes off the attacker for even 1 second otherwise. This is further established by the fact that he takes his time to turn off the siren to try and de-escalate the situation.
Look at him standing there with his wallet. Now watch how the cop comes out, because he knows now that...
The police officer holsters his pistol and takes out his baton to avoid the use of unnecessary lethal force. As soon as he takes his advancing first step, the assailant immediately gives up.
Coward.
The assailant, who had just purposely inflicted an untold amount of pain and suffering on so many lives, surrendered at the very first sign that he himself was to encounter any sort of physical discomfort.
And so, realizing that the officer wasn't going to shoot you, what did you do at that point?
I realized I had no choice but to get on the ground because I was probably going to be tackled anyways or tased. And if I'm going to live, I'd rather not encounter a physically painful experience, so I decided I have no choice but to admit defeat at that point.
Wow.
So when you say admit defeat, what did you do?
I got on the ground.
Okay. That's quite an
I don't
experience.
want any pain.
That is quite a.
Not the usual everyday experience.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah, I'm guessing.
I believe that's everything.
Alek, I thank you for talking to me. I really do. I really appreciate that. You've given me some insight. And
I appreciate it too.
How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Wow.
Alek Minassian's trial date is set for February 3rd, 2020.
Has his trial started?
Well, I'm going to look into that now. I didn't even look into it, but is that so? He wanted to go out. Well, obviously, the Idaho 4 guy did not want to go out by suicide by cop, and he used a knife. The other one, too, Elliot, he went out with the cop. He probably wanted to. Okay. Let's go watch the video of Joe from the food truck, who is also in this community. That's called, oh gosh, Men Going Their Own Way.
Oh, men going their own way, yes.
Exactly, Ray. But not the Idaho 4. Yeah, he's Canadian. But not the Idaho 4. Lynn. Hey, Lynn. This is the guy that is in this community, the Incel community that we just said the name of. And Elliot Roger, the one that did the stabbed his 3 roommates and then drove to the college in South California, knocked on the sorority house door, nobody answered, so he killed some people in the street, got in the car and ran over a few people. They're in the same group on the internet, this extreme incel group. And now all the talk of this Idaho 4 being an incel, which I've always thought he was, or impotent. I've been saying it from week 2. And Enon being a definite incel. And then, of course, Joe came out and said he's in an incel group. So, we're going to go into the incel group undercover and see if we can get into this group that they're in, where Elliot Rogers is a goddess. So this is the full interview from Joe Vidit, the guy at the food truck on TikTok that is also an incel and in this group. Hey, TC. Oh, no, TC. Oh, no. Oh, they have a name. Incel is not involuntary. What is it, Chiz?
Yeah, involuntary celibate.
Okay, yeah. So incel is an involuntary celibacy, meaning they can't get a girlfriend and they're pissed off. And the girls that they can't get are called Stacy's, and the guys that get the Stacy's are Chads. And they believe that if they get rid of all of the Chads, then the Stacy's will have to reproduce with the incels. Oh, there's an effing community. So what year did Rogers do that? 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So this group has been, and when did they say the group started when he was talking about it? About 2012?
I just remember 2014.
Okay. So this has been going on since 2014. And there's like 0 to 4 different categories. And then you've got the extremist, You got just kind of like the nerdy ones that play video games and don't want to like go out and rent a van and shoot people. But then you've got the ones that hate women so much, the extremists that want to get rid of the Chads so that the Stacys have to reproduce with them. And this is what I am definitely convinced the Idaho 4 murder is.
And he said that they want to get rid of the alpha males and the Stacys, the alpha males and the women who won't show them any love. Chad's and Stacy's.
The beginning of this.
Yeah, the other food truck guy, the bigger
Oh,
guy.
he's an incel shredder. Oh yeah, I can tell you. I've called him. He's texted me on the phone. I should try to call him right now. Oh, he's definitely an incel. He tells you he is. He's introvert. He's a hermit. He sticks to himself. He said that he went over to the party. He doesn't go because he's never invited. I am telling you, my opinion that Enon is definitely an incel. Is he the radicalized one like this one talking about the freaking rebellion like Star Wars? I don't know. But he definitely has an issue. I've heard his posts. I've gone back to him. Pullman, Washington. I have never seen him with one girl. And all of the girls that were leaving comments are ones that went to treatment center with him. I think Enon's definitely an incel. And I think he's in this group that Joe's in. And I think Joe's in the same group that kid that we just watched. And Alek and Elliot.
Hey, Joe here. I just wanted to jump on this and make a video real quick and kind of just squash some stuff that I've been seeing. So, first and foremost, I feel super awkward that I even have to make this video, but I've been like not really keeping track of all of the stuff that's going on with this investigation for those girls that were killed. And
little lib cam.
To start off, like the very next day when they had announced the murders and when they had shown the photos, as soon as I saw the photos, I messaged the two people that were in that video that I was talking to, my neighbor and then another guy that we had met earlier that night who I thought was really cool. And we invited him to come with us to Grub Bus. And I was like, hey, weren't two of these girls at the Grub Bus with us last night? And they couldn't remember, but they were also very drunk and I was not. So I did have, there's a drink called a Larry Craig. That's like a really popular drink over here. I did have one of those at Corner Club, but I mean, other than that, I was totally sober. When they confirmed that those were the girls, the only reason I knew that it was those girls was because I saw the video that said, oh, they were seen at this thing. Because I actually called the police right away and was like, hey, I think I might have information. I just need to know like what was one of the girls wearing, because I remember one of them had like pink, because the one that bumped into me at Corner Club was wearing pink. But nobody called me back from the police, and I was like, okay, they're probably just swamped with information, probably whatever. But then when the video came out and people were like, no, those were the girls, and those two
Maddie had on the pink shirt. So he actually saw them at the Corner Club too, because he's just saying it right now.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I watched this earlier, but do I think this guy has anything to do with it? Absolutely not. But I didn't know that he actually saw them at the Corner Club and Maddie bumped into him.
People were like, dude, those were the girls. I was like, okay, I'm going to physically go to the police station and talk to the police. I told the police everything I saw, which is different than what I think is going out there right now. And I was just waiting for food. I'm just like everybody else in town that waits for food at the grub bus. It does take a while.
That macaroni and cheese.
Everybody goes there. And so that was kind of the thing. It was like, no, we gotta, if you're ending the night, you end it at grub bus. But other than that, I don't really have any like crazy information. I don't know why everybody's reaching out to me. I don't know why so many people are trying to spin things around. And so what I've decided to do is that I'm only commenting on things that are like ridiculous. So try and give clarity.
Don't make me laugh.
But
Have a cold.
man, people are really turning this into something it's not. Yeah. So I want to address a few things specifically. One being the news article that came out was the first person that I actually like talked to with the news media. A lot of media outlets have reached out to me, and I've just ignored them because I just was like, man, I just was waiting for food. Like, I have nothing to add. I've given all the helpful information I can to the police. It would make zero sense for me to give any more information to random people. But these rumors that are going around were just like crazy, and I didn't have a bad vibe from the guy that people were dragging through the mud. I don't know if he did it or not. I don't know.
No.
I'm just saying, like, I could speak to the vibe I got from him, which was all people really wanted to know at first anyways, and I thought he was fine. Now, the news outlet that I talked to, I mean, he really embellished some stuff I said and added his own words to things and kind of changed the verbiage. I wasn't defending anybody. That's one thing he said. I wasn't defending him. I was just saying people need to stop spreading rumors because that could ruin his life. What if he's innocent? It would ruin his life. The other thing he said is that I noticed him come.
Ray, we've got the corner club conversation. Just me, it's on MB. What is it? Capital M, capital B, INC.
You're talking about MGTOW?
Matt's channel. Hey, Candace. Yeah, Matt.
MBINC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capital M, capital B, space INC. He's got a video, just the food truck with the full conversation and in caption. But it was just a normal conversation.
Come in with the girls. I didn't notice him coming. I didn't notice him until I cracked the joke to the frat guys because I thought it was ridiculous. It was like,
let's not forget, this was before the video was dropped of the three of them walking down the road and Kaylee saying, "What did you tell Adam?" And Maddie says, "I told Adam everything." So we know that they were together before arriving at the food truck.
freezing outside, and that guy was in a tank top. So I just made a joke because that's
Thank you, Cree.
how I make friends. I don't know. But that's when the guy chimed in and I noticed him. I didn't notice him until that moment.
I heard
when I was at Corner Club, when I said ew, some people were like, "What? That's such a weird thing to say. Why would I?" That's what you say when you're standing talking to friends and somebody really drunk, like they smell drunk, they're like bouncing around and they bump into you and like rub up against you. Like that's what it's gross. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but she was really, I mean, you can even see in the Grub Buzz video, she couldn't even.
Okay. That is the first sign to me that this guy right here is an incel. Am I crazy?
Well, I couldn't tell until I found out he was.
No. Okay. What? So he's the same. Look at his face right here. I think I hello. Do you? His eyes are like, "Oh, do you see me?" Why would it? The word that he just used, Maddie is beautiful, and he's talking about Maddie right now. Bumping into him, and it was just a gross. Ray. Okay, a normal thinking man in a bar has a 20-year-old, hot 20-year-old, because she's a beautiful girl, bumps into you drunk. Is that gross?
To
Because I
him,
would think that a normal guy would be like, "Hey, baby, can I buy you a drink?" I'm being real.
right?
But Carol, yeah. I've never listened to this interview before, but for him to say that it was gross tells me that he looked at Maddie. I'm surprised he didn't call her.
Call her what?
Right. I didn't want to say it to be disrespectful, but to the case, but exactly. And to think it's gross, and then going back to the food truck with the talking, he gave really no notice. We're gonna have to now we have to watch the food truck again with the caption and the words of them talking, because that right there blew my mind away. That's so weird. A normal college kid to me would have been like, ah, she was drunk, bumping into me. You know, I could have bought her another drunk and took her home in an Uber. But this guy's like, it was gross. Very bizarre.
Even she walked between us several times and just couldn't even walk straight. That girl was very drunk. She's actually the only one that I thought was really drunk. And she was the only one I noticed at Corner Club because she had bumped into me. Another thing that was weird is that the guy who was interviewing me from the Daily Mail or whatever it was, he said glass-eyed, and I was like, sure, yeah, like that.
Could
I didn't actually even use that word. That was his word. And then as far as the car goes, yeah, there's a car that pulled up. I couldn't remember what it was.
What did he say? Glass eyed?
Yeah, I think he meant glossy eyed, like when the cops check your eyes.
Yeah.
They look for the glossiness.
Yeah, that's probably a code word too. Like that kid was talking about the code words glass eyed, obnoxious, words that just don't make sense in what they're talking about.
Okay.
Couldn't remember if it was black, blue, gray. I couldn't remember. I just remember the car pulled up. So yeah, so I didn't know what color the car was. It was dark.
Oh,
And I just felt like when I told the guy, I said it was a
But
dark car, I couldn't remember what color it was. And I think when I was at the police station, I couldn't remember what color it was. They had to.
I mean, I honestly didn't think that Maddie was sloppy drunk at the food truck to the point where she was gross.
I didn't either.
And
only after I watched it a couple of times, I noticed, she
I mean,
was,
they were both a little buzzed, but I, 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 I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could have grossed him out. Hey, maybe he's gay and doesn't like women. Whatever, it's his choice. But I just found gross kind of a harsh word for that situation. But
he
that's my
contradicted himself too, because he said, when after it happened, he asked someone, "Hey, weren't those the girls at the grub truck?" But yet he said he remembered them because they were Maddie was drunk at the corner club.
absolutely.
And yeah, so but the Daily Mail guy was like, no, you need to like, was it blue? Was it black? I was like, I can't remember if it was blue or black. I can't remember. He's like, we'll just say dark colored car. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think it was a 4-door sedan, but this guy got out and was like, hey, let's go. What's going on? Because the girls were making videos and laughing and they were trying to grab all the food. Every time food was coming out from the grub bus, they were just trying to grab it. And they thought it was funny. And I mean, it was a little funny, but they were trying to grab all the food that was coming out. And when I went up and I talked to the guy at the grub bus, I said, did you just give them food? Because he just said, here you go, like that, and gave them food. And then they ran off. I actually told the grub bus, I was like, that was really nice of you. He's like, yeah, they just need to, they need to get home. And I was like, yeah, they were trying to climb into the grub bus. So, I mean, very drunk. And then honestly, as soon as they called my number, I told the guy, I said,
did you guys ever see a video of them trying to crawl in to the Grubhub bus?
No, not at all.
The only thing I saw was Maddie was hanging out at the end where the food came out all the time, and then you had Kaylee taking selfies or videos or whatever. Like, dude, yeah, I'm gonna go find your group, buddy. I'm gonna. Oh yeah, yeah. You're just
You really exaggerated trying to climb in, please.
what the?
She was putting her hands on the counter.
Yeah, we're gonna go watch it right after this, and I'm gonna get the one off Matt's page with the sound and the closed caption.
Leaving, bro. And then because they called my number,
Get his TikTok.
all I could think about was pasta. I couldn't think about
Twitter,
anything else other than just eating macaroni and cheese. And
Hey, bro.
and that was it. I didn't give any other thoughts. I didn't think anything else
Hey,
about it.
Kenny.
Yeah, they paid with a card.
Some people have
They
said
ordered.
that, like, I've seen some people say, like, oh, I think it's suspicious how much Joe remembers. I'm an adult. Like, as soon as I realized that those were the girls that we saw there, I tried my best to remember everything and recount it from that night because I knew that it would help in the investigation. Some people said, oh, Joe might have been the suspect. Dude, I have cameras in my house. I literally have the time I walked in my house. The girls were still alive at that point. And I have a can of soda that I had in my video, have it in my hands, walking into my house. So yeah, it wasn't me, I promise. And other people were saying that I was excited about like a claim to fame or something like that. What is wrong with you? That's such a disgusting thing to think. Like, who would be excited about this?
Well,
I've literally ignored everybody. Like, everybody. The only reason I even answered the Daily Mail guy at first is because he showed up to my friend's house. Like, physically showed up to my friend's house trying to find me or trying to get information about me. Crazy. And yeah, I just wanted to help. You know, a part of me too felt guilty because I was laughing. I kind of laughed at the girls, you know, watching them be drunk because, I mean, let's be honest, anybody that lives here, the whole reason that the Grub Bus has a Twitch stream is because the people, I call them zombies, but just kind of like, because they're just people come from all walks throughout the night.
Zombies.
A lot of people come there after they've finished their night drinking to load up on carbs, eat food. Police come there that are working late. They come get their food. They just park right behind the bus. People like me come there who just want pasta in the middle of the night.
Oh, Liv, yes. We're going to get into the 4chan. They're in a 4chan Reddit, but they're on a server or whatever it is that we need to find out. But we found the username of the kid that we just watched that ran over everyone in Toronto. So we need to see if we can. We're trying to find out. We're trying to get into the extremist incel group. But I think this guy right here is an incel and he's in the group.
Mar, did we see the comparison? We did see it, I think, of the comparison of the ski mask, but it's not the same person.
Yeah, we all said that it was something with the eyes. Like Joe's eyes are a little bit more like an almond shape. Yeah, I don't think Joe was wearing the ski mask. I don't think it's somebody in the group. I think he's a little bit older. He's not welcomed in the group. He's probably the dish boy at the corner club.
Yeah, it's all walks of life, all people. But it makes for an interesting crowd pretty late. And so they always live stream it. That's the reason they live stream it. So that camera footage that you guys are seeing, that looks like surveillance, it's not surveillance. It's a live stream for Twitch for the Grub Bus. One thing I did say that I'm glad that was reported truthfully is that, you know, I have a little girl, and I mean, she's a baby. She's like not even 2 yet.
Oh, wait a second.
And she's my world. And, you know, there's a dad out there that these girls, that they're his world, you know? and they're gone. So, and I just felt kind of guilty because instead of helping them when they were drunk, they were entertainment. While I was waiting for food, they were just the entertainment. They were just the drunk people that everybody laughs at, you know? And it's sad. And some people think that's disrespectful. I mean, it was what was happening. They were drunk. They were out there drunk like that.
Okay, Chisme, what was said about him being in this group again? Yeah, that's weird, having a kid.
Just the comments that he was making regarding, and that he put those initials on his stream, on one of his streams. Chats, on one of the chats that he was on, or one of his pages. And I think she said LinkedIn. So he says that he admitted that he's on there, or he has that somewhere on his stream. Yeah, Twitch stream. So
Okay, he was putting men going their own way. Initials.
Yeah. And he has those memes, indirect comments about females and stuff like that.
Okay. And that was on Crime Theory, a Crime Obsession.
Yeah. Crime Stories Obsessed.
Yeah. Does she show that where he was putting it on his page?
I don't know that she showed the actual text, but she read it. She read everything out loud.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not positive. I mean, I know that she read it out loud, but I could have just been listening to it and not have
Do you want to check real quick and see if she shows anything while we finish playing this?
Okay.
Okay.
That. And one of my toxic traits is that I take on the weight of everything that's going on around me, both personally or just even with friends and stuff. And so any of my friends that know me, they reached out to me pretty much right away because they knew that this was going to be eating me up. And it has. And I haven't been following what people have been saying until just recently. You know, somebody sent me a TikTok video that had the most ridiculous things on it, and I tried to set those straight. And apparently it fueled more Reddit BS and more rumors. I don't understand how people are making this into an entertainment thing. Like, I live here. My friends are scared to walk to their cars. I'm a big guy. I'm strong. I don't feel super safe going outside alone at night either. I just hope people realize that there's real people that are affected by this stuff, and sorry, I put my hood on. It's really cold. Like, there's snow outside. But at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like people need to stop trying to reach out to me to get statements. There's so many other people that know more about what's going on than I do. I just happen to be getting macaroni and cheese at the same time as them. And other than like those couple minutes there, I can't really speak to anything else. And people need to stop dragging whoever through the mud, especially if you don't live here and you don't know anybody, you don't know what's going on really. Like, this isn't funny and it's not entertaining. And I believe that Moscow Police Department is doing a really good job in trying to kind of just do damage control. But like, let's be honest, the FBI is like on it. I would be surprised if they have a really good idea of who it is. They're just waiting for evidence, evidence to just make it concrete, because one of the worst things that can happen, you guys, is if they catch the murderer and they arrest them, bring them in, and then they have weak or refutable evidence and that person walks. Think about that. So ease up. Don't be jerks to the police. They're literally like, they don't want to give information out because this is like a really tight investigation, but they know things. I don't understand why they didn't. I will say my one critique, I don't know why they didn't put out right away that a car picked up the girls and was waiting for them in front of the grub bus. It took them way too long to do that, and there was a lot of rumors going around saying that the girls ran away from that guy. They ran across the street, and that's really when I started to like, man, I should say something, online. But I work in media and marketing, and I'm a musician, and I have a lot of things that I just want to like give the world. And I'm sad that this is kind of how my name got out there. That makes me really sad. I'll probably delete these videos
And he
as soon
doesn't sound like
as
an incel.
they announce the murder and it's all over. But until then, please just stop. Today I talked to somebody from Dr. Phil. They were wanting me to go on Dr. Phil and talk about this. And I'm like, why? I don't think people realize how little I actually know. But like I've said, I've been pretty much ignoring everybody. I'm not going to talk to any more media. There's actually, let me backtrack that. There's a lady coming to Moscow tomorrow who I'll probably have coffee with, but other than her, that's it.
Okay, Mar, that video that Crime Stories Obsessed made, she put it on members only. It wasn't like that yesterday. I sent the link to you yesterday.
Hang on, let's go watch the food truck again.
And Dragonet and Libcom, I did see a post where Maddie wrote, she was posing and she said, thanks for the clothes and thanks for a wonderful day or something like that. But she didn't tag anyone. So they could have had sugar daddies. You never know.
I mean, the possibilities absolutely still are endless with what could have
True.
happened.
Yes.
All right, where is this food video? Is that the one with the sound? One sec. Okay, let's watch the one where they're before they get to the food truck. And let's look at the jacket. These sleeves on Maddie's jacket. Hmm. All right, let's go to the food truck. That jacket looks way too big to be hers. All right, is this it? Two weeks ago. Yep. Yep, this is it. I gotta let my little girl out real quick to take a potty. I'm gonna start this though.
Have a good night. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks. I think I would like the carbonara.
Okay.
Can I have like a free grub tug on my app?
Oh, yep. So what you want to do is we'll actually do this.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many more do you need?
That's the second one? Awesome.
Dawn's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, one more.
Maybe I
Here.
didn't have a free one.
It's right here.
And then what was the next one?
Don't forget to remove the
The
spoon.
The
carbonara.
carbonara mac and wheat.
Here, I'll grab it for you.
Excellent. And then click see rewards.
Enjoy.
And it looks like you do not quite have enough points yet.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
$10.
Perfect.
I do have a big burrito pork here for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Order 78. Thank you very much. Where'd the pen go, guys? Where's my pen? How are you guys doing?
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I seem to have lost my pen, but that's fine. What can I get for you?
Can I get
just 2 John Bombs?
Definitely.
I get
Thank you.
and then pork tacos.
Oh yeah. How many pork tacos would you like?
Just come with one.
It's one, but they're like 6 to 7 ounce tacos. They're not like small little street tacos. I normally eat 2, 3 is a lot for me.
So one would be fine if I was getting pasta or
Yeah.
mac and cheese too.
Yeah, that's gonna be
I better
almost 2 pounds of
I
food.
better get 2.
Okay, you got it.
I got
2 pork tacos? Done. 1 5 cheese, 1 basil pesto, 2 pork tacos, $24.50 for you.
Thank you.
Looks like he's looking at the car, towards the car.
79. Thank you.
I'm gonna do this. Hold on. If we decide, since we listed.
Oh, people have fallen. People have fallen over reduce for you. Sorry, I'm talking to Twitch stream. Oh, you're so good. Absolutely. Thank you. How are you doing?
Pretty good about yourself.
I'm doing extremely well. What sounds good?
Can I get a big burrito?
Yeah. For the big burrito, would you like pork or chicken? Got it. And then you said a Mountain Dew?
Yes, please.
Excellent. Big burrito chicken and a Mountain Dew. We're going to do $11. There's Mountain Dew and order 80. Thank you very much.
Hello. I need 2 chicken burritos with extra slaw.
2 chicken burritos with extra.
And I do not. I don't.
$19 for you.
I know I have a $6 waiting for me. I would like to use
Okay,
it.
awesome. Thank you.
So, I don't
What's
know.
the reward?
There we go.
Fuck, I just hit your jacket. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
$13. Hell yeah.
Worth it.
Oh, always. Order 81. Thank you. Extra slaw? Is that a charge? No, it's not a charge. It's just a modifier. Hello.
They have Apple Pay.
How's
You
your
guys
night
have
going?
Apple Pay, right?
Of course we do.
Of course you have Apple Pay. Yes. Hi, camera. I'll get chicken taco.
Chicken taco. You got it.
I'll do the 5 cheese mac and cheese.
Okay.
I know you're No, I'm kidding. Like, please, he's waiting. We'll do 2 5 cheese.
And I said,
Like, I'm adding 2 or you're making it, it's down 2.
Oh,
Sorry.
2.
You're adding 2. Excellent. Gotcha. Okay. Anything else?
Reed? Come on, you're the last one. Okay.
You got it. So I have a chicken taco and 3 5 cheese mac and cheeses. Okay. $27.75.
Hey. Hey.
How many apples in the mac of the week? 0, TJ. 0.
Yes, Lynn, and he said that
Order 82. Thank you.
that he was at the corner club earlier.
Can I get?
We already got it by cheese mac and cheese.
Wait, they got one. No. Oh my god. Can I get a magnifier?
You got it, man. Magnifier, $9 for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, let's go. Of course. Awesome. Dessert burrito for ready.
Order 83.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then it's all on you. I was letting go.
Time to start the old car. It's been a while since this engine started. Let's see if it starts. V V V V V V V V V V V V V. V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V. V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V Oh great, the battery
My
is
first
dead.
time was when I went to the
Well, better
grocery
luck
store
next
to buy
time.
donuts.
For what?
First time I used, well, NFC. I don't have an Apple device, so it wasn't Apple Pay. I was desperate.
For donuts?
For donuts, yes.
Never used like a phone NFC pay. I guess unless you count the tap on the card.
Wait, say that again?
Never used my phone until at like a store.
Oh, really?
Always had my cards.
Okay. It's because you're too prepared, Derek.
It's because I try not to forget my wallet. It's a good reason.
That's
not
smart,
to
Derek.
forget
It's
your
probably
wallet.
good to not lose your wallet. Guys, fuck yeah, great ticket times, honestly. Like, Luke, Tebow, really solid. Love it. Very
So,
pleased.
Joe,
All
how
right,
close are we
back
to
in.
you sitting down on Friday nights?
I mean, that was a solid rush. It's a good thing that it
There
ended,
it is,
but
right there.
this is Friday and Saturday in a row. They got you down round one, so I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, guys.
I guess he's gonna fucking need extra slot a second. This bad boy.
Tebow's thinking to himself, if I start slowing down on May, maybe I'll get to sit down. He's going to try to sabotage me.
I actually was wondering if I was going too slow and you're going to switch it back. I'm really scared of that. That's what I was scared of.
Nope.
Yes, let them feed
You guys know, like, the highest ticket time I saw was 13 minutes, which is, I'm very satisfied. You guys have worked on the truck, and Derek and I have been the ones on Grill and Mac, and we've had longer ticket times than that. Like, you're doing well.
I got news for you.
Hell yeah. All right, what did I miss? Reduce, reuse, lol. Yeah. Fuck you.
That gets on my nerves. And then, like, they want their numbers to be called. Okay.
Are you knowing that super popular? No. Tomahawks, what's this high for? Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing extremely well. What's on good?
Just that death by garlic and add chicken to it.
Yeah, definitely. Death by garlic. We'll add chicken to it. Anything else for you?
And then can I do the 5 cheese?
And 5 cheese?
Yes. And can I add chicken to that?
Of course. We're doing death by garlic with chicken, 5 cheese with chicken. Anything else?
That should be it.
Love it. $23. Do you guys have any NFC go Ben? Any whatever sort of payment you have on your phone, we can take. Order 84. Thank you. We do not have the scan one though. So like if you're trying to pay with Cash App, you have to like scan a thing. We don't have any sort of QR crap. How are you doing?
Sorry, good.
Oh, no. Good. Excellent. Sorry. What can I get you?
Can I get 2 chicken tacos?
2 chicken tacos. You got it.
What big burrito? Chicken.
$7.50. If that's everything for you.
Slide.
Yeah. Slide, tap, insert, facing you with the chip. Any of it. Order 85. Thank you.
Can I do the big burrito? But I would really.
Okay, I gotta remember how to work this. Oh, there we go. Ellie list of every report made. They talk about why didn't they kill them all. BF and DM defends himself. Let's see what this is. I can't do Jonathan Lee Rich's, guys, sorry. Alright, let's see what else. I found a possible way to find the owner of the white Elantra. How old is the killer? I'm gonna say 31 to 40. People think he's 18 to 30. That's the girl that found her underwear that we've seen. That's the roommate that we watched. Yeah, nothing's new.
Mara, I gotta get going. Thank you for having me here, though. And I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas.
Chisme, you still here?
Yeah, could you hear me? Did you hear me?
Okay, what was that handle again? R9K. 4chan / R9K. Chan / R9K. Alright, let's see what we get. Okay, nope. 1 sec, I'm trying to figure out where to. Let me take these out of here. Okay. Alright. 4chan / R9K. Oh yeah, there's a community. This one's a little community. What the hell? Let me share it. No, I don't know what this is, but that's the handle that the kid in Toronto was using in that group. Request to post. I don't know what this is, guys. It only has 19 members. Let's see what happens if I get anything else. Nope. Nope. But then there's 4chan. Let's see. So what is the R4chan that has 1.3 million members? Oh, never mind. And see this right here. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to dig into this deeper. Because that little green guy right there, he's supposedly like the little mascot man. I don't know what this is. I'm going to have to look into it. I have no idea. What the hell? Wait a second. Okay, yeah, we're going to have to do this another time, guys. This is insanity. This made me inexplicably sad. This random girl tried everything to W herself out, but literally nobody in the planet gives an F. Something in her life led her to sell her dignity for possible fame, or at least a bit of money. And then she goes on talking about average goth girl, not ugly, just overall plain, no curves, small boobs, just a painfully normal girl like you'd find at the supermarket. Um, Holy shit. Yeah, I think he said something about that. I'm not sure. But this is crazy. Right, Kitty? There's an OnlyFans. I don't know. The hollow effect. Attractive people are treated way better in their ascribed qualities that they don't have just by virtue of being good looking. One of the guiding principles as work in destroying Western CIV. Like, I really care about hot girls' opinions and whether she is having fun when she is with me. Don't effing deep it, lol. Okay, guys. Yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole. Huh. That's almost scary. Ooh, I'm gonna dig into that and see if I can find the groups that they were in where the boys are talking about the girls. Everyone, thank you for coming in. Have a good night, guys. And hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas with your family and friends. And stay vigilant, guys, and definitely keep your baby safe. Whew, scary world, guys. Absolutely scary world. I think Chisme probably fell asleep. All right, guys, have a good week.